So you wanna go to war with me? You're talking like you think you're royalty. You think that I'm afraid, but I don't break. I heard you question my stability. You think I'll fall just like a guillotine, but I am here to stay. Won't look away. The storm is coming, so you better start running. No, you can't control, feel it in my bones. I'm coming for the, coming for the.
Son of a bitch, I gotta say that all over again. No sound. That's what I get for turning the Scarlet box off. Well, it's a good thing you didn't hear all that, because everybody would have probably left. On that note, we should pour a drink. All right. All right. Let me repeat what I was saying while we have time. In 1 hour, we're going to get the earnings phone call. That's what we're here for. But in the meantime, we might get a press release giving us some idea what Q3 looks like. And the other thing that I said, so we're just going to hang out. We're going to have a drink. We're going to have a smoke. And I'll answer your questions about whatever stocks you want or whatever bullshit. Whoppers versus, what was it? Whoppers versus Milk Duds. That was the last poll we did. But in the meantime, just a reminder for those who are joining in the first time or just came to throw shade because you hate me. Nobody pays me ever to talk about any stock. All this bullshit that I talk that you either love or hate is out of my brain, my own reading company documents, financial statements, looking at the charts. And yeah, I know there's still a lot of talk going around about paid influencers. Riding Adam Aaron's, you know. I talked to Adam 5 minutes, like many of you did, when he came to Dallas. That's the only chat I've ever had with him. And no, he did not tell me any secrets. I just thanked him for not bankrupting the company and trying to do a good job. That's the only contact I've had with anybody at AMC. So you can hate all you want. You can make up your stories all you want, but it's all nonsense. Believe me, if I wanted to blow up my channel, I'd just tell people whatever they wanted to hear. There's a reason why most of the AMC pumpers have me blocked. Because I tell you what's on my mind, how I see it, whether it's good or bad. Diatog, Pepsi or Coke? Coke all the way, my friend. Pepsi's too sweet. Although I've tried my best to give up sodas. AMC currently in after hours at 10:19. It closed the day down 1.2% today at 10:10. King Louis says some people can't handle the truth. When they can't handle the truth, King Louis, they make up their own narrative. That's what I've noticed. It's unfortunate. I'd love to talk about AMC more with you guys, but there are like some literally mentally deranged people out there who just make their own narrative up about why we were in the play. We were all in this play for the same damn reason. And then the economy changed, the market changed, AMC ran low on cash. And I had to explain to you guys that they need to raise cash. That's just in my view, a plain black and white look at the financial statements, very obvious statement. I'm sorry some of you don't like it, but that was my take. Mr. Murky says you're breaking up. Oh no. Doc Zeno, I haven't, that hairless kitty belonged to a friend of mine, and I haven't seen her around lately. So if we ever get Darby or whatever the heck his name was back, I'll certainly give you a heads up. For today's drink of choice, I mixed up a batch of margaritas, not on the rocks. Dan says, I want Kurt back. I talked to Kurt on the phone. It's been a while since I chatted with him. I talked to him about a week ago because he does real estate, the cash offer for houses. I said, hey, Kurt, this market right now is kind of like what you've been waiting for, right? And I could hear him on the phone. He's like, oh, yeah, Tony, this is going to be some good times. So, yeah, we need to get him on and find out how he's getting on with the real estate. The worse it gets, I think the better his business is going to do. Zach asking, am I long AMC? Do we need to go through all of that again, Zach? Do we really need to do that? Bring May back. I talked to May this morning I sent her a message with a question I had on Bed Bath & Beyond, and she helped me figure out my question. And I was just listening to the PP show, asking some questions, and I didn't know the answer, and I figured May probably would, so I shot her over a message, and she knew the answer, of course, smart lady. And I said, hey, May, we should do a live stream, even if it's 15 minutes, where I ask you the question from the PP show, and you tell us your very, very intelligent answer because they want to know. And I think she answered me back, but I've been busy today, so I haven't seen. But I know I have a full day today, so that's not going to be happening today, but we'll get May on to talk about something. Did I like the film Dumb Money? Ludwig, I liked it. I would go see it again. I think it's already on streaming. I went to the theater and saw it. I really enjoyed it, honestly. Daryl says, will AMC return to pre-split levels in time? Well, do you want the honest answer? In time for what? Look, we held at this level for a long time, right? In the $40 range. And I think there's a good technical analysis argument to be made for one day it could return back up to that level. Gaps must be filled. The gaps must be filled argument. Not one you hear me pushing a lot, but I wouldn't argue too heavily against someone saying that eventually the gaps must be filled. But then you get into the debate, and I love having these, look at all sides of the question. Is it down right now because it was artificially pushed down? We know it got freaking hammered right before the reverse split was enacted. That caught me by surprise. After the reverse split, not as much. But what happened before caught me by surprise. But I mean, gaps must be filled. That could take a month or it could take 2 years. I don't know. So if it was artificially pushed down, I think you could see it trend up back in this range faster. Just based on investor sentiment, not based on any financial analysis. If we start looking, though, at financial analysis, then to get pushed back up into the $40, $50, $80 range, you're going to need to see, a pretty decent annual positive earnings per share. When you do any sort of calculation, like a PE ratio for the industry, it's 20 to 25. So to have a $60 stock, you'd need $2 annual earnings. We're in negative earnings. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you make the argument financially to get it back up there. So we got to rely on some momentum based on investors getting excited more than financials if we want to get it going in the short term. So press releases, Ken Griffin getting put in jail, anything works for me. Ludwig says, is MOAS still possible after AMC becomes profitable? Ludwig, I try not to use the word MOAS on this channel. I don't mind using the word short squeeze. MOAS is too nebulous because everybody has a different definition of what MOAS means. So what I will tell you is what I've said many times. I don't talk about a stock being a candidate for a short squeeze if the reported short interest is under 20%. That's it. We're not in that category for me right now on AMC. And for those of you who've been around for a long time, for 2 years, the only short interest that I talk to you about every day is reported short interest. We all know about everybody's version of everything else, right? But I don't talk about that on this channel. We all know that everything else likely exists, but on my channel, I try to share data-based things with you. Damrick says, you're monetizing me to death. Guys, YouTube changed their policy, their strategy for making themselves more money. You can Google this, effective, or if you're a YouTuber, you know it, because they sent us many notices. Effective November 1st, they changed the way they do ads on live streams. So that's not me. Most of the time ads don't run on live streams. So I guess, and people like to do live streams, and YouTube's probably looking at it saying, look at all that revenue we're missing. So they started telling us back in September, October for sure, that effective November 1st, there would be some changes. I can't see them because I'm not watching, I'm streaming. But if you're seeing more ads, that is because YouTube changed how they insert ads on live streams. What is the reported short interest? Let me pull up Ortex here real quick. I think it's around 10%. Nope, I was way high. It's at 6%. So honestly, in my opinion, at the low price that AMC is at right now, it's not a great short. And that's probably why the short interest is low. There's not much downside from here. Which is why, you know, if I see it drop to 7 or 8, I'm going to be snapping it up again. I was a big time buyer in the $7 to $8 price range just a few weeks ago. I see it trying to move up. Did we get some news drop? So yeah, short interest is low because AMC has the ability to raise money almost at will. And it's not a great bankruptcy candidate in the short term, in the next year. And there's really no sense in them shorting it. They can't bankrupt it by shorting. AMC Investor Relations. But if there were bad news, ooh, look at it go, $11. If there were bad news not if there were bad news, if there was really good news and the price got out of whack, too high, in the short's mind, they're like, that's too high. That's what they'd be saying to themselves. It's not worth that. $14, $18, yeah, short it. So that's where I think we'll see the short interest going up if the price runs up. Newsroom. All right, we got a news release. Let me pull it down here to the other monitor. AMC reported today results for third quarter ending September 30th, 2023. Wait. Okay, here we go. Why don't you just put it in that press release, you goofballs? It's not on here. All right, somebody tell me what it is. Why can't you just, oh, maybe if I click on the PDF. Okay, here we go. Total revenue grew by 45. Let me pull up my, I just realized I didn't have the other screen on too. Give me 1 second and I'll put the PDF up on the screen for you guys. I'm going to pull up my spreadsheet so we can compare numbers too. File, open. All right. So I said that revenue was going to be 1.297 and it came in at 1.405. Excellent. So that was a beat compared to where I had it. Net earnings grew to 12 million compared to a net loss. So we were positive. Diluted earnings per share improved by 228 to 08. Booyah! That is a fucking blow it out of the water compared to negative 27 cents that the analyst had been expecting, or even my fairly conservative view of negative 17 cents. And this right here is what, so I had some other scenarios. This was if we captured 27% of the market like last year. And then I had these other two scenarios. Let's see if any one of them was close. 1405. It's kind of in between these two. My other two scenarios had us between a penny and 14 cents. So halfway in between that would be right where we came in. Well, I am happy that something between scenario 2 and 3 played out. Adjusted EBITDA improved to $193 million. Net cash provided by operating activities improved by $289 million to $65 million. And non-GAAP operating cash generated was $108 million. This is fantastic. Fan-fucking-tastic. And of course, the price goes down. Oh my God, what the heck? Ashton says, did Adam Aaron sell shares again? I can't talk. All that excitement I got reading that PDF, and then I flip back to the stock, and it's in the fucking red. What the heck is wrong with this stock, you guys? Holy shit. Zelly Zen, what's up, Zelly? Brett says self-reported short interest. Yes, thank you. The exchange reported self-reported short interest. That is correct. Guys, I hearken back to the days of Keith Gill, aka Roaring Kitty, when he talked of short interest and got us all started in this meme short squeeze world. I never once heard him talk about synthetic shares or fake shorts. He told me about reported short interest. So I'm happy to report that to you. I bet Roaring Kitty would be called a fucking shill today, just like I am. He's a paid hedgie. He'll only talk about reported short interest. He'd be kicked off the field. Get that Keith Gill out of here. Who does that guy think he is? That was, all that reported synthetic share crap came after. And I just not part of my, it's not part of my game to talk about that here. Doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. I don't fucking know. But on my channel, I try not to talk about stuff that I can't provide you guys good evidence of. This stock is the Twilight Zone, RA, right? What the heck, man? How can you have a beat like that? I mean, that crushed expectations. Crushed. And the fucking price goes down. Unfucking believable. Oh my God. Well, let's just say this. I hope Adam is planning to talk a lot more than Sean today, because you know how when Adam's talking, the price goes up and then Sean walks it back down. Douglas, right? It's all manipulation. Jennifer, who are you talking to, Jen? She says, I hope you don't throw in 5K. Are we talking about Tony Denaro? Throwing in 5K right now? Or are you talking to someone in the chat? Mountaineer saying they are calling in favors to the market makers. AMC is winning, sir. Print up some extra fake synthetic shares. Short that bitch. Woo! Some damn good margarita. Hope you guys got a drink. We're going to try and have some fun because this is just ridiculous. Just fucking ridiculous. They made cash. From what I just read, they made cash. They beat earnings and they beat revenue handily. And the stock price can't go up. Unfucking believable. Reza, what about Polestar? I'm gonna talk about Polestar. I got the Rivian video out. Fisker got pushed to Monday with their earnings. That's a screwball play, right? Fisker, their chief accounting officer quit or got fired 2 days ago, and they tell us about it today. And oh, by the way, Fisker, we're moving our earnings to Monday because we got a new. Their chief accounting officer left on October 27th, and a new one just got appointed 2 days ago, and there's been no press release. I think you got to do a press release on that. Anyways, we're getting sidetracked. So we got Lucid. I got to put together the video on that, and then we'll do a Polestar update. And then next week we'll get to Fisker. And really what I want to get talking about is Tesla, that one that's actually profitable. But I know when I start talking about Tesla, there's going to be people asking me about all the other ones. So I'm trying to get as much expertise as I can on all of the tier 2 companies. I've been only fringe paying attention to them for the last 2 years because why pay attention to them? They're just going to lose money. But they're getting to the point now where they're starting to get interesting. It's time to start taking a look so we can now look out 2 years. When are they going to start making a profit? Or are they going to fail? Jennifer says you can't short after hours. I've never shorted, Jennifer, so I don't know if that's true, but I have a feeling you can probably short after hours. I don't know, especially if you're on Wall Street. But I don't know. Anybody know for sure? That's something I should know by now, right? But I have never in my life shorted a stock, so I kind of know how it works. I kind of know how they think, but I don't know what they do after the market closes. When is Polestar's earnings? I think I have that on my Polestar spreadsheet. I priced out a Polestar. If I was going to order one of the newer ones, it was over 100,000. Yeah, November 8th. It is today. I'll probably get to Polestar tomorrow on a summary video for you. Candace says, I think if you know the right people, you can probably do anything you want. That's how I'm thinking, Candace. The dip before the rip. Tally Foreman in the house. What's up, Tally? Let's spark one of these bad boys up. Round 2. I'm trying to work my way through this collection here. You know what I've noticed with the cigar club? When I go in a cigar shop and I buy 2, 3, 6 cigars, I'm buying like some name brand shit. I don't know if it's for better or worse, but they haven't sent me yet a brand that I know. This one is called The Lobbyist by Liberty Cigars. But I'll tell you what, it sure is convenient not having to go to the shop. I just get a delivery in my mailbox once a month. Shin Kyoku, what's up? He said, how is the training going? Are you talking about my physical fitness training? If you're talking about that, I have been slacking, Shin Kyoku. But we're about to enter that phase where you can do the very strict winter workout and be beach body ready by spring. Baza 520 says, I'm going to go for a pint of Guinness. Where are you at, Baza? Tell me you're in the UK. I had my very first Guinness at 20. I think I was 20 years old, maybe younger. When I first moved here, the drinking age was not 21, it was 18. And just my luck, within a year of moving here, they changed the law. But I had my first Guinness here, and then one day when I was over in, it was either England or Ireland, I had a real Guinness. That was a life changer. Totally different. But I do enjoy good Guinness from time to time. And if I ever get over your way, we're going to go have some pints, my friend. We'll do the gallon of Guinness challenge. How about that? See who survives. Reza says, Disney is moving. Is it in the way that I want it to? 28 minutes to the call, guys. 28 minutes to the call. Earnings on AMC was a beat. We're waiting on the call. I need to go to blue chips here. All right, very nice. 87. Boy, man, the haters came after me when Disney dropped below 80. Disney's going to $30, Tony. Why are you talking about it when it's at 80? Just in case shit, Don't load the boat. I bought a little, yeah. It's a 5 or 10 year play. If it fell to 30, that'd be beautiful. I'd triple up on my position. I have no idea what Disney's going to do. They need to fire everybody. But I think that eventually capitalism wins. So I'm just slowly building a position. The nice thing about right now is, with the exception of one penny stock that I have, that I'm just swing trading for fun, everything in my portfolio is green. Retail, AMC. Any calls with Bigums lined up, Ron? I'd be happy to do a live stream with Bigums anytime. He knows that. I guess, there just hasn't been a lot to talk about regarding AMC. He's got his own little niche that he talks about, all the stuff that he's very interested in. And I let him, I'm spending my day researching companies, reading filings, listening to calls, trading. It's hard for me to be on top of every single thing. So if he's really interested in that stuff, I can go watch his video instead of spending 8 hours a day trying to learn that shit. But whenever we have topics, that cross interest, or you guys want to hear from him on something, I'm happy to have him on. Happy to have anybody on that actually can interact like an adult. You know what I mean? And that's one thing that I've always respected about him. There's very few people in this entire world that I agree with on everything. Marcel and I don't agree on everything. Bigums and I don't agree on everything. Massalorian and I don't agree on everything. But as long as you can have a debate and still be kind to each other and not be a dick, then I'm happy to anytime have those people on. And at the end of the day, all of us have the same goal, right? To make fucking money, to not lose money. So anytime he wants to come on, he's welcome. King Louis says, it's not who wins, it's who survives. I've been saying that to a few people, just like in private conversations, over the last 3 or 4 months. Like, one of the things that has pissed me off the most over the last 2 years, as I watch people ride their plays into bankruptcy, like Bed Bath & Beyond is the one that's upsetting me the most right now, watching, I'm sorry, I love you to death. If you believe in Bed Bath & Beyond, that it's coming back from the dead. Hey, I'm not here to hate on you, but I watch these people go die on a hill and happily ride their plays to zero. And I don't want it. And MMTLP, same thing. I told them a year ago, don't fucking ride it to zero. Sell when it's at the top. No, Tony, I don't like you. You're telling me to sell when it was $11. I'd rather ride it to zero or fight it in court. Well, you got your wish. I'm tired of seeing people do that. And then they get so angry and eventually they get washed out of the market from emotion or running out of capital. And I don't want to see that happen to you guys. You have to survive, like King Louis said. It's not about winning, it's about surviving. If we are going to be here to fight market corruption, I need you in the game, mentally, emotionally. I need you not broken. I need you to survive. And so on a lot of plays, I've had to change my strategy from one of, I'm going to go die on that hill, to I'm going to survive, because I plan on being around. I'm not going to stop turning the screws on these motherfuckers. Batar says, how is your Hycroft doing? I don't own any Hycroft. I have puts on Hycroft, Batar, but thank you for asking. Obviously not a regular viewer of the channel over the last 2 years. Never put one bullish video out on Hycroft. I got called a hedge fund plant for telling the truth about Hycroft. There's YouTubers who've made videos calling me a hedge fund plant. Batar Inabish. Don't come at me with that bullshit, my friend. All the Hycroft pumpers on Twitter blocked me long ago. It's not that I hate Hycroft. I want Hycroft to succeed, right? Let's be real. Hycroft's price directly translates to AMC, and I'd like to see AMC succeed. But Hycroft is a very long-term play. 5-7 years from the time AMC invested. If it works. That's a if, right? It's speculative. If it works, you're going to have to wait 5 years to find out. So I always said, be patient. Don't be listening to these people telling you to buy it at $3. And I had people arguing with me that they were mining when it clearly says in the company documents that they're not mining. I don't know. I mean, just go read, people. Read the financial statements. If Hycroft gets to mining again when they build their new milling plant and start up, I think it could be good. But the jury's out, right? If Adam Aaron wasted everyone's money, I will call him out at that time. But it's way too early. You can't judge Hycroft right now because it was planned from day one that they weren't going to be mining for a few years. That's been disclosed from day one, if you actually read. So I'm not hating on Hycroft. I'm just realistic. They're not mining. They were draining down their leach pads. It was going to go down. And we'll wait and see. After the reverse split, when they get into next year and when they publish their plan, then I'll think about it. But it's too early for me right now. I did swing trade Hycroft a little bit. I made money on it. Sometimes holding it for a day, a week, I don't remember. You'd have to go back and find those live streams. Just a concerned citizen. Johnny Massalorian, what is going on? Numbers on AMC look pretty good. They look pretty fucking great. Massalorian, we should do a live stream tonight if I'm still awake. How the hell can we have a beat? Like what? I mean, if what I saw was correct, how can you so massively beat and have 3 minutes of price action, 2 minutes of price action. What the fuck? Unbelievable. AT. Hello. Hello, El Paso. I have fond El Paso memories, LT. AT. David says, perhaps AA will buy more Hycroft at this low price. I see people put that on Twitter, David, and I cringe. I even have seen people say maybe Adam Aarons should just buy the rest of Hycroft. I don't know. I mean, we got 20-something million on the line. I don't really think we need to throw more at an uncertain outcome. It's a speculative play. Unless he has some insider information. But he's going to catch hell for 3 more years if he did that. Everyone is thinking, for whatever reason, maybe just because they like to hate on AMC, that if Hycroft doesn't show results by 2023, it was a failure. It was never about that. It was always 5 to 7 years. You guys just have the wrong timeline. So I can't tell you if it's going to be good or bad. If you're around in a few years and I'm still around, then we'll talk about it then, if it worked or not. Is EPS plus 08 or minus 08? I saw plus 08, Bruce. Yeah, it's plus 08. Look at this shit. Why are we mired in mediocrity? This is a huge beat on revenue and a massive beat on earnings. The only thing I'll say, I need to see if this is GAAP or non-GAAP, the 8 cents. When I do my estimates for you on my spreadsheet, I'm doing GAAP. Generally accepted accounting principles. Let's see if they have updated it. Ah, son of a bitch. AMC, enter. All right, let's see what the GAAP number is. That is the fucking GAAP number. Oh my gosh. This is massive. That's a huge beat. Adjusted EPS is going to be even higher. I don't know. All I can say is take a fucking shot and wake me up in the morning. Daryl says, I remember earlier this year you were worried about Q3. I had no idea, even though Anya told me that Barbie was going to, Anya, one of our mods here, she said, Tony, Barbie's going to do fantastic. I didn't see it. I did not forecast Barbie correctly. And that is what, you know, messed my numbers up for Q3. So I'm happy to be wrong like that. And I'm equally pessimistic about Q4, but I'll happily be wrong if we get some movie outperforming what I have estimated. And if you want to see what do I have estimated, I think I popped that in, yeah, over here. These are kind of the numbers that I have, and we could compare that. Maybe I'll do that later tonight. I threw this together back at the beginning of October, what I thought the worldwide and domestic box office would be for these movies. I haven't gone back and checked it. I know that I had Taylor Swift predicted at 415 domestic, and she hasn't come close to that yet. She's getting up there over 200, but not at 415. Five Nights at Freddy's probably beat my number. Will beat my number. That one outperformed what I thought. Priscilla, I'm not seeing anybody go watch Priscilla. That's probably going to be a major miss. Marvels, who the fuck knows? We got Hunger Games, Trolls. Napoleon, I'm sure looking forward to that one. The holdovers in my city, I can't even find out when to go watch holdovers. One theater in my city has it, one AMC out of 3, and on some days they have one showing on one screen. The heck. And then we get into December with Wonka, Aquaman. I just don't know. I mean, I had 2.7 billion. I mean, I'm trying to be as optimistic as I can, but that was dependent on Taylor Swift hitting 400 million. So I'll try and do an update and see where we're at now that we're 30 days into this against what I had forecast. Trying to be optimistic. And those were vetted numbers. Like, those aren't just numbers I made up. I checked with industry sources. So when I added them all up and I was like 2.7, well, maybe Q4 is not going to be as bad as I thought. And maybe it's all back end loaded, but like the first 5 weeks hasn't been exactly great. Diatog says adjusted EPS is -9. It should be higher though, right? What's non-GAAP versus GAAP? GAAP is generally accepted accounting principles. And when you see the SEC filings, these will always be GAAP numbers. And then you'll see companies put out press releases talking about adjusted earnings per share. And a lot of people get confused when there's 2 different numbers being floated out there for earnings per share. They'll back out things from these numbers and say, well, you know, if we just focus on operations and things that actually that were used cash, like depreciation and amortization, that is not, even though it's on the income statement as a cost, didn't cost any cash. So they'll adjust the earnings and say, well, if you back out depreciation and amortization, the earnings per share is actually higher. And that would be non-GAAP. And it's okay to look at one or the other, but I think you know, as an investor, you should be consistent in which one you're looking at, or at least understand the differences of both. And I'm sorry, I'm not a CPA. I'm doing my best to explain these in layman's terms as I understand them. Massalorian saying too, adjusted is -9 cents. Well, what the heck? How is that even possible? Last page of the earnings doc that I was initially, okay. All right. Well, let's see. They usually give a breakdown of the adjustments they made. So let's see. But that would explain, you know. So here you have your GAAP results at the top. And then you have your non-GAAP or adjusted results. Total revenues. So we have revenue, but then they have the alternate revenue where they adjust it for currency. Net earnings was essentially the same, 12.3 versus 12.4 on GAAP versus non-GAAP. Probably if I keep scrolling down, they're going to give the breakdown. So here's the highlight. The GAAP versus the non-GAAP. And there's probably going to be a table down here where they show how they got to that number. attendance was way up from a year ago. 73 million versus 53 million a year ago. Average ticket price up a decent amount. All right, reconciliation of adjusted EBITDA. Now I want to see reconciliation of earnings per share. All right, here we go. All right, so we had net earnings of 12 million minus gain or loss on extinguishment of debt, 10.8 million. Gain or loss on investments in NCM and HYMC. So we had a gain of 10.8 on extinguishment of debt. We had a loss of 0.7 million on NCM, which is the advertisers in the theater in Hycroft. And then we had non-cash shareholder litigation expense. Anybody want to know what that damn Allegheny lawsuit cost us? There you go, 16 million. Well, that fucked our adjusted earnings per share, $16 million, giving us an adjusted net loss, 13.9 million. Thanks, guys, for all your litigation expense. Hope it was worth it. Liverpool says, what is going on with Wish? We got 7 minutes to talk about anything you want. Let me, what screen do I have Vortex on? Not that one. Someone was asking about Wish earlier. I will pull it up for you. Haven't looked at Wish in a year or two. But just for you, we're going to pull up the short interest. 15%. I don't generally talk about anything being a short squeeze candidate that's under 20%. All right. Other question was, do I know Houston's channel? We're talking about Houston Wade? Is that the question? Earnings call starts in 6 minutes, Ilya. Streaky says, maybe if AMC didn't do a stupid thing like allow Ape to vote. Well, I've been pretty consistent on this channel. I understand people disagree, but I read all the documents long before, and other companies have done similar things, and I've told you guys from jump that that lawsuit was not going to win because nothing illegal is done. That's just my read on the documents, and as it turned out, the judge agreed. But we're well past debating that at this point. Moving on. Did Prop 6 fail? I think all of them failed, Bill A, except 2B. AMC now down to $9.98. Beep. Yes, Ludwig, I am aware of Houston Wade. I don't regularly watch his channel. Good luck to you, John. He bought some long calls on Wish. Let's see what the stock chart looks like. Well, that's a nice little bump today, right? Nice little bump over the last week. Good job if you got in this one. 355 to 535. Not one person would complain about that. The only people complaining would be the ones that bought 2 years ago. I remember us talking about Wish way back when on the last squeeze. Woo! Probably right about here. No, I wasn't around YouTube, and then might have been, no, not that one. I wasn't around in June. I don't know. At some point we talked about it, probably here. January 2021. But I would guess if their financials got run down that much and they did a reverse split 1 for 30, that they're probably not in great financial shape. Probably, I'm just guessing, worse than AMC. Operating income, net income, negative. Well, it's a micro cap stock. Negative 80 million net income. Market cap's $125 million. I mean, it is what it is. Play the chart. It's not a money-making company. It's not high enough short interest for me. Call it a short squeeze, but if the chart's moving and you can make money on that, then knock yourself out and don't listen to anybody's price targets on social media. Play the chart, take your gains. Don't be a bag holder. Streaky says AMC shouldn't have even done APE. Yeah, I get the whole argument. I get it. But they did it, and we didn't have much choice. So it is what it is, unfortunately. A lot of times with these companies, you think anybody's happy about Mullen doing 3 reverse splits? Sometimes it just is what it is. You got to make a choice to stay in the play or get out of the way. All right, it's 2 minutes to the call, so I better log in. Investor Relations, AMC. All right, I've got it queued up. It says, sometimes when I log into these, it says the wrong quarter. This one is correct, third quarter 2023. And if you're wondering, there's not going to be a vote in this meeting. The vote always has been scheduled for 1 o'clock. That happened like 4 or 5 hours ago. That was the annual shareholders meeting. I know some people got confused about the timing on that. This is not the vote. This is just to go over Q3 earnings. AK says, what is with HKD? Another blast from the past, my friend. HKD. Haven't looked at it in forever and ago. All right, call is starting. Let me get the desktop audio on.
2023 earnings conference call. At this time, all lines are in a listen-only mode.
I won't be talking much during this unless
Following the
I got something
presentation,
witty to add.
we will conduct a question and answer
but I'll
session.
be watching the chat.
Instructions will be provided at that time for you to queue up for a question. If anyone has any difficulties hearing the conference, please press *0 for operator assistance at any time. I would now like to turn the conference over to John Merriweather. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Jenny. Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to AMC's third quarter 2023 earnings webcast. With me this afternoon is Adam Aron, our Chairman and CEO, and Sean Goodman, our Chief Financial Officer. Before I turn the webcast over to Adam, let me remind everyone that some of the comments made by management during this webcast may contain forward-looking statements that are based on management's current expectations. Numerous risks, uncertainties, and other factors may cause actual results to differ materially from those that might be expressed today. Many of these risks and uncertainties are discussed in our most recent public filings, including our most recently filed 10-K and 10-Q. Several of the factors that will determine the company's future results are beyond the ability of the company to control or predict. In light of the uncertainties inherent in any forward-looking statements, listeners are cautioned against relying on these statements. The company undertakes no obligation to revise or update any forward-looking statements, whether as a result of new information or future events. On this webcast, we may reference non-GAAP financial measures such as adjusted EBITDA, constant currency, free cash flow, operating cash burn, operating cash generated, among others. For a full reconciliation of our non-GAAP measures to GAAP results, please see our earnings release posted in the Investor Relations section of our website earlier this afternoon. After our prepared remarks, there will be a question and answer session. This afternoon's webcast is being recorded and a replay will be available in the Investor Relations section of our website at amctheaters.com later today. With that, I'll turn the call over to Adam.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. It's almost impossible to contain our pride as the record-setting strength of AMC's third quarter 2023 financial results. Fresh on the heels of our recent record Q2 results, we set the bar even higher in Q3. For both revenue and adjusted EBITDA, these were the single best third quarter results in AMC's entire 103-year history. By definition, revenue and adjusted EBITDA beat last year's third quarter. They beat the third quarter of 2019, which was the last Q3 unaffected by the COVID-19 pandemic. And for that matter, they beat every third quarter results that AMC has ever reported. Once again, AMC exceeded consensus estimates and market expectations across the board. And we did so handily. AMC was literally in a different ballpark of accomplishment than many third-party observers anticipated. Sean will discuss these exceptional third quarter results in more detail during his prepared remarks. But suffice it to say, AMC is posting revenues exceeding $1.4 billion, adjusted EBITDA of $194 million, and positive net income of $12 million is a feat that has us all smiling in Leawood, Kansas. The entire quarter was rejuvenating for AMC, and July especially was meaningful, as it was the second highest grossing month in AMC's entire century-long history. Global attendance at AMC theaters tallied more than 73.5 million guests in the third quarter of 2023, up 38.4% over the third quarter of the prior year. It set a high watermark for quarterly attendance in the post-pandemic era. AMC's attendance in Q3 2023 was the highest since the fourth quarter of 2019. Moviegoers returned to AMC theaters in ever-increasing numbers in the third quarter of 2023 in response to both our studio partners' efforts to increase the quantity and quality of new releases, combined with AMC's continuing commitment to enhancing the guest experience enjoyed at our theaters. This continuance of AMC's being on a glide path to recovery is notable for three key aspects. First, The industry-wide box office is finally showing some strength. Second, we ended the quarter with $730 million of cash, and we remain committed to ensuring that our cash reserves remain robust. And third, AMC's contribution per patron was up 30% from pre-pandemic norms. I want to repeat that number for emphasis so that you all hear it and understand its significance. AMC's contribution per patron was up 30% from that of 4 years ago.
That's all that
As a result,
popcorn and nachos that I ate.
AMC has demonstrated, at least for this quarter, that we can report a healthy amount of adjusted EBITDA or be free cash flow positive without a complete return of the box office to pre-pandemic levels. Although pre-pandemic levels of box office would certainly be preferable. As for that box office,
it certainly would.
This was
It'd
an
be
inspiring quarter that saw the North American, the so-called domestic box office, surge to $2.7 billion, exceeding Q3 2022 by 38% and achieving 95% of the pre-pandemic Q3 2019's box office. This is the closest our industry has come to quarterly box office levels that were considered normal in pre-pandemic times. As for our cash, the reason that AMC Odeon has been surviving this ravaging pandemic, happily staying away from the bankruptcy courts, and why big chains like Cineworld Regal or small chains like Alamo Drafthouse or ArcLight did not, is because at AMC, we have been maniacal in building up our cash reserves. For those trying to understand how AMC successfully has been defying gravity these past 3.5 years, having ample cash on hand is the secret sauce. It is having sufficient cash reserves that has enabled AMC's resilience heretofore, and therefore we will continue to seek equity capital when it appears smart to do so. As for our vastly improved contribution per patron, this is the real enduring lesson of AMC's third quarter results. Yes, we benefited from Barbenheimer and from Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, Sound of Freedom, and Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny, among other films. But if you look at attendance rather than box office dollars, the domestic industry attendance in Q3 was actually 16% down from the third quarter of 2019. And yet, AMC was more profitable. Attendance down, profits up. This came from the cumulative impact
be so
of
fucking
all
good
of the
when this
many
box
actions
office
we've
gets
taken,
up.
especially over the past 3.5 years, to change our fate. Those actions include: 1, a focus on expense management in a challenging inflationary environment. 2, the pruning of our theater fleet by closing marginal theaters and opening successful new ones. 3, cooperatively renegotiating many theater rents with our theater landlords. 4, leading the industry with our having more customer-pleasing premium large format screens than any of our competitors. 5, AMC's innovative moves to sell other things, everything from Barbie-themed pink Corvette models sold in our theaters to microwavable home popcorn sold on the shelves of Walmart. 6, all of the many innovative marketing and pricing AMC initiatives which have caused us to achieve dramatic increases in revenues per patron, especially in our high-margin food and beverage activities, as well as, number 7, capitalizing on the many scale advantages and opportunities that accrue to AMC by being the largest movie theater company in the U.S., in Europe, and globally. Now, I'll pass this webcast over to Sean to provide more details on the financial results of Q3, after which I'll return to talk about some of our ongoing initiatives and AMC's thoughts about the future.
Don't look at
Sean?
your stock
Thank
chart
you,
for
Adam.
the next 15 minutes.
Thank you
guys.
to everyone for joining us this afternoon. As Adam just said, in the third quarter, we achieved two notable financial milestones. One, our best revenue and adjusted EBITDA since pre-pandemic 2019, and two, the highest revenue and the highest adjusted EBITDA for any third quarter in AMC's entire 103-year history. Of course, this also means that we beat pre-pandemic Q3 2019 adjusted EBITDA, and we did this by a resounding 24%. And this is a remarkable achievement because our attendance was nearly 16% lower than in Q3 of 2019, yet despite having 13.5 million fewer guests, we grew revenue by 6.8%, or $89 million, and we grew adjusted EBITDA by 24%, or $37 million.
I can't wait for
This
everybody.
result
All the shills are
really
going to say
demonstrates
the
the
trolls.
success of the actions that we have
inflation.
taken over the last 4 years to
It's
really
coming.
elevate the
It's
guest
coming.
experience, optimize our theater fleet, manage our expenses, and improve our efficiency and overall profitability metrics. These results clearly illustrate our ability to deliver solid financial outcomes even when the industry box office and attendance fall below pre-pandemic levels. With a third quarter North American box office of $2.7 billion, which is 38% above the prior year, we grew revenue by 45.2% to $1.4 billion. We grew adjusted EBITDA by $206.6 million to $193.7 million. And we grew net cash provided by operating activities by $289.5 million to a positive $65.9 million. With this quarter's results, we've now extended our unbroken string of positive adjusted EBITDA quarters to 4, and for the first time since 2018, we've generated a second consecutive quarter of positive net earnings and positive earnings per share.
Yeah!
Now I'll turn to the North American business. Total revenue for the quarter increased by 41.2% compared to Q3 of 2022. This was driven by an attendance increase of 34.4%, which was helped by an increase in our market share. Admissions revenue per patron increased by 4.8%, and food and beverage revenue per patron increased by 4.1%. Note that the revenue generated per patron for this quarter was 30.1% above pre-pandemic Q3 of 2019, and the contribution dollars per patron, which is defined as the revenue per patron less film exhibition and food and beverage costs, was 35.9% above Q3 of 2019. In the international business, on a constant currency basis, total revenue increased by approximately 50%, 50, compared to Q3 of 2022. This was driven by an attendance increase of 48.5%, admissions revenue per patron increase of 10.8%, and food and beverage revenue per patron increase of 10.5%. Note that international revenue per patron and contribution dollars per patron for the quarter were 18.4% above pre-pandemic Q3 of 2019 as measured in constant currency. Moving to cash flow and the balance sheet. We ended the quarter with cash and cash equivalents of $729.7 million. Operating cash generated, a non-GAAP measure representing cash from operating activities after deducting capital expenditures and before both debt servicing costs and deferred rent payback, was a positive $109 million, an improvement of $288 million compared to Q3 of 2022. Capital expenditure net of landlord contributions was $49.8 million for the quarter. This brings our year-to-date net CapEx to $137.5 million. Based on our expected CapEx spend in Q4, we now anticipate net capex for 2023 to be in the range of $175 to $225 million. During the third quarter, we continued to actively manage our theater portfolio. We added 1 new theater and we closed 3. This brings the total number of locations that we have closed since the pandemic began to 156, and the total new locations opened to 57, for a net reduction of 99 locations. This portfolio rationalization, together with ongoing landlord negotiation, has unequivocally resulted in a more profitable theater portfolio. Just as an illustration of our effective rent expense management, it's worth noting that Q3 2023 rent was 5.6% below the same period in 2019 in constant currency. This despite the significant CPI increases over the last 4 years. Going forward, while we continue to invest in our business and the guest experience, our top 2 capital allocation priorities must remain: 1, to ensure that we have sufficient liquidity to manage through our recovery period, and 2, strengthen our balance sheet. Now, we've made considerable progress in these 2 areas. During the third quarter, we successfully raised $325.5 million of gross equity capital. We repurchased $24 million of debt at an average discount of 28%, and we also repaid $22.3 million of deferred rent. The deferred rent balance at the end of Q3 was $74.2 million, and we plan to reduce this balance by another $20 million by the end of this year.
Keep chipping
so year
away
to date, 2023 year to date, we have now raised $550 million of gross equity capital. We've lowered the principal value of our debt by $289 million through debt repurchases or exchanges of debt for equity, and we've repaid $83 million of deferred rent. All told, we have reduced our debt and deferred rent liabilities by $372 million thus far in 2023, and a total of $764 million since the beginning of 2022. In summary, our results for this quarter clearly show the positive impact of the significant enhancements that we have made and will continue to make to grow and to strengthen the business. As we navigate through this recovery phase, which may be extended by the Hollywood strikes, our primary financial priority will be to ensure ample liquidity while concurrently continuing to make progress reducing debt and fortifying our balance sheet. Of course, we will also continue to pursue growth initiatives opportunistically as they make sense. We believe that this approach overall will best position us to thrive in the future. And now, I'll hand the webcast back over to Adam.
Thank you, Sean.
I want Adam to say
the
thank you,
successes
Governor.
of 2023, and the third quarter in particular, have clearly illustrated the allure and power of theatrical exhibition. Movies in theaters, on the giant screen. Before we move to questions from our investors and from equity analysts, I'd like to quickly update you on 6 specific topics. First, merchandise. You may recall that we started getting serious about merchandise sales at our theaters and on our website as a result of specific shareholder suggestions that came in from our retail investors. We embraced the idea thoroughly, and quietly, it has become a pleasant success story.
Wow.
It was literally a non-existent business for AMC in 2021. In 2022, we grossed about $10 million in merchandise sales. But by year-end 2023, it will be more than a $50 million revenue source for us this year. Way to go, shareholders. Keep those good ideas coming in. Second, popcorn in the home. Our lines of ready-to-eat and microwavable AMC Perfectly Popcorn have been a huge hit. Our 6-month exclusive deal with Walmart stores and Walmart.com prove to us, prove to Walmart, and prove to other retailers that consumers find AMC's product offering in this area to be compelling. So, in addition to continuing with Walmart, I am pleased to announce today that over the next 2 months, we will be rolling out AMC Perfectly Popcorn to Kroger stores, including their approximately 12 brands of supermarkets around the country. And before Christmas, we expect to be placing it on the shelves of all of Publix supermarkets as well.
Did the shorts cover?
And if all goes according to plan,
then what are we talking
by Black Friday of this month, the day after Thanksgiving, AMC Perfectly Popcorn will be available nationwide on Amazon.com as well.
Yay!
Third, given our success in branding our popcorn, in November and December, this month and next, we also will be introducing a new line of AMC conceived and branded gourmet chocolate candies called AMC Cinema Sweets. Our first SKUs will be chocolate-covered pretzels, chocolate-covered almonds, chocolate-covered peanuts, and chocolate-covered raisins. Essentially, our learning at this company in this area is that just about anything tastes a whole lot better if it's drenched in chocolate. AMC's strategy here will be to offer a top-of-the-line quality treat
better with bacon
with
too.
some of the finest chocolate made and lots of it. Even though ours will be a gourmet line, we will sell at the same price as mass market brands. That's something that AMC can do given the huge demand for candy products that exists within a movie theater environment, without a requirement for us to run up massive distribution or marketing costs. At least initially, AMC Cinema Sweets will only be sold in AMC theaters. And of course, in addition to carrying our own line of AMC Cinema Sweets, we'll continue to stock on the shelves at our theaters the many name brand candy products that are there today. Fourth, I'd like to address the situation that our industry has encountered for almost 6 months now due to the writers and actors strikes. It's gone on for almost half a year.
I thought he was going to talk about sending
The
pictures to
short-term
someone in a
impact
second.
of the writers and actors strikes will cause additional and needless challenges for AMC in 2024. Projects will get delayed from 2024 into future periods. Without taking sides as to who is to blame for this labor stoppage or how the labor challenges should be resolved in negotiation, we strongly encourage all the parties involved to come to the negotiating table with the intent of reaching an agreement immediately. There has been and will be much collateral damage from these lengthy work stoppages. For the benefit of all involved in the movie ecosystem, AMC believes that this months-long disharmony needs to come to an end now. Whether one thinks of a studio executive or of a union member in the creative community, it is ever so important that everyone in Hollywood returns to the task of creating world-class entertainment that is admired and greatly enjoyed the world over. Fifth, I'd like to quickly comment on our laser projection upgrade. It is categorically accurate to say that the future for AMC continues to get brighter, thanks to our ongoing transition to laser projectors at our theaters. They increase on-screen light levels by 50% to 100%. As a result, the images on the silver screen are getting sharper and brighter as every week passes. By the end of 2023, AMC will have converted more than 37% of our auditoriums across the United States to laser projection. Not only does this deliver improved picture contrast, more vivid color, and greater picture brightness for our guests, this is the biggest single green initiative ever undertaken by AMC. Laser projection is environmentally friendly because it eliminates the problem of having used xenon bulbs, and it brings a significant reduction to our energy consumption efforts as we show movies to moviegoers. And finally, topic 6, which is about the only thing we've been talking about around here the last 5 months. Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift, Taylor Swift. What can we say of our gratitude to Taylor for entrusting AMC to distribute her Eras
Can you
Tour
imagine
concert
working with
movie
him every day and
to
he goes
some
around
100
repeating
countries
everything 3 times?
across the planet? As you likely know, with ticket sales expected to hover around $250 million, the Eras Tour is already the highest grossing concert film in history. And at the domestic box office, Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour, was the second highest grossing movie of all time for any and all genres to be launched during the month of October. That's our role as distributor. As for our role as exhibitor, AMC's market share of ticket sales sold for Taylor Swift the Eras Tour was unusually high. So, both as distributor and exhibitor, AMC benefited handsomely, both reputationally and financially, from our having taken on this project. And that benefit will not be a one-time thing. As we announced just a few weeks ago, AMC Theater Distribution is following its success with Taylor Swift the Eras Tour with a concert film release of Beyoncé's Renaissance World Tour. Renaissance, a film by Beyoncé, will be released globally on December 1. We are so privileged to be working with artists like Taylor Swift and Beyoncé as they bring their creative vision to their fans, and we do so too in the United States and around the world. For what it is worth, in working with 2 of the most admired pop stars on the planet, we already have touched lightning. All of us at AMC are now passionate Swifties and are proudly in the Beehive. We are optimistic, though, that this will lead to much more ahead. This is not just a one-time thing in 2023. We believe that we will have several more concert film products in 2024 and 2025. We intend to be working with some of the most known and most loved musical artists the world has ever known. For those of you who don't think that this will prove to be transformational for AMC, watch this space. If, as, and when more artists come on board, there is significant incremental profitability ahead for AMC from our going down this sizable, fan-filled road. If one were to think back to March of 2020, if I had to summarize our view as we sit here today, go back to a time when all theaters were shut and think about what has transpired since. You'll note that the recovery of the movie industry and of the movie theater industry has not been a straight line. Indeed, to the contrary, it's been a wild ride with tosses and turns that no one would have predicted. Through it all, though, AMC has clearly emerged as the leader of the pack. And we've done so backed by an army of enthusiastic shareholders. Looking ahead, there likely will be challenges for us to conquer still. A prolonged actors' strike and rising interest rates are not helpful. We still have significant debt to pay down or to refinance, although that's mitigated somewhat because most but not all of our current maturities do not start before 2026. But looking again at sort of the glass half empty, many of our shareholders are incensed, truly incensed, by stock market practices that they do not trust. If that's not enough, there's war in Europe and there's war in the Middle East. The list of problems we dealt with goes on and on and on. But if there ever was a time to look past the immediately foreseeable challenges of the day, for AMC, it might be right now, right after reporting AMC's third quarter 2023 earnings. It was, after all, the single best third quarter for AMC in some 103 years. These were stellar results. To our shareholders listening in to this webcast, we hope you share our pride in the progress that's being made by AMC.
Oh my God!
This, after all, is your company, and we benefit in so many ways from your enthusiasm and from your passion for AMC. With that, Sean, let's now move to questions from our shareholders and industry analysts. And as a change of pace, let's start with questions from industry analysts in a lead-off position, and then we'll take questions from our shareholders, batting cleanup, so to speak.
I have no idea why the share price is just like stuck. This is all fantastic.
Jenny, can you provide instructions?
Other than Q4
Thank you.
starting
Ladies
off a
and
little
gentlemen,
slow.
we will now begin the question and answer session. If you have a question, please press the star followed by the 1 on your touchtone phone. You will hear a 3-tone prompt acknowledging your request. Questions will be taken in the order received. Should you wish to cancel your request, please press the star followed by the 2. If you are using a speakerphone, please lift the handset before pressing any keys. Your first question is from Alicia Reese from Wedbush. Please ask your question.
Hey, Adam and Sean, how you guys doing? Nice
That
quarter.
operator has a really nice voice. Am I wrong?
Thank you. To answer your question, we're doing well because it was a nice quarter, as you just said.
Yeah, it was.
Thanks.
It was indeed. So I have a couple questions. First of all, I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit more quantitatively in terms of Taylor Swift, in terms of the distribution versus just exhibiting this film, and same for Beyonce. If you could talk about that quantitatively, what's the benefit of distributing that in terms of market share or in terms of film rent? And if not that, then talk a little bit more qualitatively about that if you can.
Sure. Let's talk quantitatively first. We know it to the penny. I mean, literally to the penny. And it's sizable.
Well, tell us.
But those are stats that we're going to unveil on the fourth quarter call, not on the third quarter call.
Are you going to tell us about popcorn details then, too?
For what it's worth, we did very well. We're going to make a handsome profit from having facilitated what was in July only an in-stadium concert tour, getting it converted to film and getting it in theaters quickly. As I said, we know the numbers. We know them cold. We review them almost daily with the entourage that surrounds Taylor. We're all smiling. They're smiling. We're smiling. Our market share is abnormally high of the tickets sold. And I think that in part is because we've been so committed to the project. It's pretty hard to pick up a newspaper anywhere in the world or to go on the internet and look at news and not see the AMC name connected to Taylor Swift. Beyonce's right behind it. As you know, Taylor's film has grossed, in 4 weeks, grossed $165 million domestically and about $240-something million, $220 million globally. It's still going in theaters. It's not stopping at 4 weeks. There will be a weekend 5 and weekend 6 and weekend 7 and weekend 8. And so the numbers will continue to grow. We don't expect that Beyonce's concert tour will be as large in theater as was Taylor's, but we do expect it to be significant and meaningful, and both the Eras Tour and the Renaissance Tour taken together will provide a healthy bite of profitability for AMC in calendar year 2023. What's also exciting to us is not just the profitability that comes our way this year, but our prospects for 2024 and 2025. Our phone has been dancing off the hooks really since the day we announced the Eras Tour project on August 31st. There are a significant number of the world's best artists who would like to explore doing things with AMC that Taylor and Beyonce Knowles Carter just did. That's so again, I think our prospects are this is a money-making venture in 2023, and it will be a money-making venture for us in 2024 and beyond. I also would like to say that as much credit as AMC has received from taking the lead on this project, and I might add that, you know, with the writers and actors strikes, there were some movies that were going to move out of the fourth quarter. So there were some holes in the calendar in the fourth quarter. It was a pleasant thing for movie theater operators the world over to have an unanticipated gift of a Taylor Swift concert film and a Beyonce Knowles Carter concert film added to the calendar for the fourth quarter, just literally, you know, a month or two in advance of the quarter commencing. We could not have done this alone. And I would specifically like to give credit to so many of our competitors who also chose to play the Taylor Swift movie and the Beyonce movie. We could not have done this without the cooperation of Cinemark and Regal, or of Cinepolis and Cinemex in Mexico, or Cineplex in Canada. And it's also true that literally all across the globe, movie theater chains in some 100 countries have embraced the showing of the Eras Tour and the Renaissance Tour. So this is something that is particularly good for AMC because we did it, but it's particularly good for our entire industry because literally just about everyone in our industry is benefiting from the incremental revenue that no one would have expected to see just a few months ago. As for the specifics of the question, Alicia, I promise I'll give you every number there is, but we're going to do it on the next call.
Yeah, that makes sense. Appreciate that. If I can ask one more, just wondering if you can give some commentary around the premium large format screens and the impact on your market share as the biggest footprint for IMAX, Dolby, and then how your proprietary PLFs are performing across your circuit right now.
Sure. So I actually think this is one of the biggest success stories of AMC. When we look at our PLFs, and that's IMAX, Dolby Cinema, Prime here in the United States, iSense in Europe. They are our most successful screens. First of all, they sell first, and they fill higher than regular screens. If you take a look at the box office dollars for us of a premium large format screen, it essentially becomes the equivalent of 4 regular screens. Think about that. You know, every one of our PLFs on average is grossing about 4 times that of a regular screen. And in the case of AMC, we have 550 of these things around the world. No one anywhere comes close to the number of PLFs that we have. About half of all the IMAX screens in North America are at AMC. 100% of all the Dolby Cinema screens in the United States are at AMC. And So this is just a massive success for us, and it's something that we're committed to doing. We would like to. We not only have expanded the number of PLFs in our company, but we've improved the quality of our PLFs. So we've gone back. I mean, almost all of our Dolby Cinemas have been installed over the last 8 years, but some of our IMAX screens are much older. So we've gone back into our IMAX screens and reinvested in those screens with IMAX laser and upgraded sound systems. And in both cases, both for IMAX and for Dolby, we'd like to increase the number of our locations. Now, and similarly, we intend to grow the number of our so-called house brand PLFs, the iSenses in Europe and the Primes here. We think we have 550, and round numbers, 550 of these things today. We think we could add 150 more. And where the consumer would support that level of supply of premium large format screens. The only limiting factor and a balancing factor is cash, because as Sean said, we're always balancing chasing growth initiatives on the one hand and ensuring that we have ample liquidity on the other, and strengthen our balance sheet by using some of our cash to pay down debt. So what tempers our ability to capitalize on the growth initiatives that are right there in front of our eyes is this art form of how much money do we invest in growth initiatives, and how much do we invest in pay down debt, and how much do we just put in the bank and save for a rainy day to bolster our cash position. But there is no doubt there's enormous opportunity ahead, and we really do believe that more than any other chain in the world, AMC is home of the PLFs, or the so-called premium large format screens, and that's an advantage that we intend to sustain and improve upon in the years going forward.
Adam, with that, should we go to some questions from our shareholders?
Please, let's do.
Unless there are any questions from equity analysts, but I think at this point is questions from our shareholders. So the first question, Adam, is about alternative content, and we've spoken a lot about Taylor Swift.
What about the one about the share
count? Can you talk more about future opportunities, and what other sort of content are we considering to bring into our theaters?
Well, given that in one of our most important forays into alternate content, we just added $250 million to the world's box office, and 165 of that is in the United States alone. I don't think anybody's been chasing alternate content more aggressively than AMC. Clearly, this whole genre of concert films is something that we've learned there's a lot of demand for out there, and so we'll chase it hard. But it's not limited to concert artists. I continue to think that professional sports is an enormous opportunity for the movie theater industry. If you think watching a football game on your 45-inch or 55-inch or 65-inch TV at home looks good, imagine how it looks on a 45-foot or a 55-foot or a 65-foot screen at an AMC theater. And so I think the second thing that you'll see us chasing beyond these concert films is sports. It's been a multi-year effort to try to get the rights to do so, but it's something that we are in active pursuit of as we speak. And then beyond that, there's all sorts of other content, whether it's ethnic film products like Bollywood products, or some Asian language film or Hispanic language film we could bring here to the United States. Those are opportunities that we're already pursuing, and our year-over-year growth, they're small, but our year-over-year growth in those segments has been quite high. We've had a partnership with Fathom Events for a long time. where they bring lots of other interesting content to our screens as well. So clearly there's an opportunity here, and it's Taylor Swift demonstrated that it can be sizable dollars if it's done right. So it's clearly on AMC's radar screen.
A lot of interest in our food and beverage offerings, and there's a question about, other than popcorn, what are our other food and beverage initiatives, and what plans do we have to bring other AMC products, food and beverage products, through retail distribution channels?
If there's one area where we can take enormous pride at AMC, it's what's happened to our F&B business in the last 3-4 years. Prior to the pandemic, F&B spending was about $5 a head in round numbers at AMC. These are domestic numbers that I'm using right now. And post-pandemic, it's been about $8 a head. That increase of $3 a head is meaningful when you think that we have a very high margin food and beverage business. I often joke that we sell air and water. We sell popcorn and soft drinks. And so it's a very profitable business for us. And the fact that we've seen such an increase in the spending per patron is very beneficial to us. Other chains also have seen increases in their food and beverage capture, but I continue to believe that of the, not the so-called dine-in, the small dine-in theater chains, but the mass market brands, our food and beverage capture continues to be the highest in the industry. And it's no accident. We work at it. We work at getting an interesting variety of products at our dine-in theaters and on the concession shelves in our non-dine-in theaters. And there continues to be opportunity. So the thing we're doing right now, of course, on this call I announced that we're launching AMC Cinema Suites this month and next. About 1/4 of an inch of pretzel and about 4 inches of chocolate on top of the pretzel. It's a lot of chocolate. It's really good chocolate too. And we're optimistic of sell. We're going to start with that in our theaters first. But just like we proved that we could take AMC Perfectly Popcorn to the home, if we see that there are big sales of AMC Cinema Suites in our theaters, we might take that out to the outside world the same way we took Perfectly Popcorn to Walmart, Kroger's, Publix, and Amazon.com. So it's been a great success story for us, and we continue to look for ways to grow it further. As one last thought on the growing it further part, I think what's so fascinating to me is how successful we've been with merchandise, movie-themed, that's being sold at our concession stands just about every week of the year now. We're selling anywhere from 100,000 of these things a weekend to 1 million of these things a weekend, and we're selling them at a handsome profit. And whether it's a tin popcorn cup, a tub for Taylor Swift's movie, or a pink Corvette for a Barbie movie, or any other array of creative things that we've introduced over the course of the year, title by title by title by title. We're driving a lot of business now with these things, and we're going to keep that going in 2024 as well.
So let's talk a little bit more about the operating improvements that we have done since the beginning of 2020, which are clearly evident in our results for this quarter. And the questions about those operating improvements that we've made that will really allow AMC to thrive in the future.
So we had no choice. We had to get more efficient because during the ravages of the pandemic, we had no revenues. And so we've gotten this company to be much leaner than it ever was before. The headcount in our corporate headquarters is way down. The managerial headcount in our theaters is way down. In the case of our European theaters, we've automated so many of them with automated box offices and automated food and beverage operations. We're starting to bring the automated food and beverage kiosks back into the United States as well. We had to get more efficient, and we did get more efficient. You, in your prepared remarks, talked about the progress we made with landlords, where we renegotiated our rents downwards to the tune of tens of millions of dollars of benefits a year. Also, we've just gotten more efficient in terms of what's in our fleet. As you said, we've closed about 150 marginal theaters that were either marginally profitable or not, or money losers, and replaced them with 50 theaters that are enormous successes. The 50 theaters that we opened are grossing far more than the 150 theaters that we closed. And yet our operating expenses, by definition, are a third of what they were to operate triple the theater count. So just in area after area after area, this company has gotten leaner and more efficient. And that's something that drove these third quarter results, which are so good. If you look at the numbers hard, you'll still see attendance was off 16% compared to 2019. And if attendance is off 16%, that's 16% fewer bodies that you can sell food and beverage to. And yet with attendance down 16%, we still were far more profitable in 2023 than we were in 2019. That's the direct result of becoming more efficient. And that efficiency that we realized is a permanent efficiency. So that's going to be something that's going to continue in our numbers going forward.
Yeah, and there's a final question which I think relates very much to what we just discussed about the operations, but just about our use of technology to really enhance the customer experience. And you mentioned some of that about the kiosks, and I guess there's other things that we're doing on using technology as well, right?
So, we joke that we can't go to the bathroom in this company without programming it in the computer first. You would think this is a pretty simple business. You have a building, you turn on the lights, you have a projector, you shine a picture on a wall, maybe hand people a cup of Coca-Cola or popcorn on the way in the door. And yet it's surprisingly intricate and complicated. And one of the reasons for that is literally everything that goes on in our theaters is automated in some shape or fashion. And we've used technology to our advantage. We have a loyalty program, Stubs and A-List, where we track the purchase history of our best customers and reward them for it. The reason we can pull that off is because our tech is so good. Very quietly during the pandemic, we put mobile order on our website and smartphone app so that literally every guest who buys a ticket online has the opportunity to pre-buy their AMC food and beverage. And our experience is we're selling more food and beverage products to the people who are using mobile order. Again, that couldn't happen but for our tech. The way we distribute movies to theaters. Christopher Nolan still likes 70 millimeter film, but everybody else, and even Chris Nolan, everybody else sends their movies to our theaters digitally via satellite, and they're received on a computer server. That's a direct result of our tech. I do believe that from a technological standpoint, we're pretty sophisticated as an operator today, and we're committed to continuing to invest in technology, both to benefit the guests, to make the experience better, to make ourselves more efficient, which means we can squeeze out more profitability on the same revenues, and is also to stay ahead of the curve in an era where all things seem to be affected by tech.
Terrific. So that concludes the questions from investors.
So let me end the call simply by saying this. It doesn't get any better than the third quarter of 2023.
Wait.
We beat market
what about the other
expectations
investor questions, Adam?
by about 50%. It was a profitable quarter when people were expecting a loss. Revenues were booming, but it wasn't just the revenue growth that caused our success. It was also our management of expenses, the combination of which led to a very successful quarter. We do have, it would be helpful if Hollywood could end the actor strike. It would be helpful if we don't see movies move from 24 to 25. But as I sit here today, I think we're enormously optimistic and confident in the future of the movie business. AMC is the leader of it. We do what we do well. And the third quarter of 2023 reminds us that when all things are aligned, this can be a very profitable industry. With that, thank you one and all for listening. If you haven't seen Taylor Swift's movie yet, go see it. If you haven't bought a ticket yet for Beyonce's movie, go buy one. And we'll happily see you as Christmas movies come out at our theaters in just a few weeks' time. There are a lot of big movies coming. Movie theaters are going to be bustling in December of 2023 and beyond. Happy holidays to one and all, and we'll talk to you next quarter.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the conference has now ended. Thank you all for joining. You may all disconnect.
Did he say Beyonce? If you haven't seen Beyonce yet? All right, we'll take a few questions. I'll try and answer the ones that Adam didn't address. You might not like my answers. But putting aside the stock price, which is frankly just shocking to me right now, $9.70. What I saw for Q3, you guys already know where I was at for my expectations for Q3. This blew away my expectations for Q3. So allow me to be momentarily exuberant and bullish. This is a fantastic quarter, Q3. But getting back to reality, what I'm worried about is the actors' strike, and I'm worried about domestic box office, global box office for Q4. So that is the primary thing driving how I look at trading this play or thinking about this play right now. Q3's in the bag. It's already done. It blew it out. Yes, we should have gone up. We should have gone up on this news, but please go watch my video on Cinemark, which I put out a few days ago. They had their earnings and their earnings call, which I listened to, not because I'm telling you to go invest in Cinemark, but because listening to the competition and the type of questions that are asked on those calls can give you some insight into the overall industry. And surprisingly, in this call, there were not the same questions. Like multiple analysts on the Cinemark call were asking about the actors' strike, and they're very worried about, and the management response to those questions are they're very worried about the impact of the actors' strike, not only in 2024, not only in Q4 right now, but potentially into 2025. Like, this is the level of fear that these movie theater operators have. Cinemark, AMC, they're operating in this. They're fucking held captive to Hollywood and SAG-AFTRA right now. So that is a huge unknown. The analyst asked on the Cinemark call, when are you going to know how good you can load up the 2024 calendar for movie release dates? And he basically said, we don't know. We don't know, because depending on how long the actors' strike takes, everything's up in the air. Like, all the dates are changing. So I want you to keep it in perspective, like what Wall Street and the analysts are looking at right now. There's a lot of just unknown risk. And that could be easily resolved and quickly resolved. And you might see, God damn, the price is just tanking even more. I hope it's not what I'm saying. That risk could be obliterated, removed, if the damn strike would be resolved. And I blame the movie production houses for that, not SAG-AFTRA. So, yes, I'm praying that they get a quick resolution on that. And then they said on the Cinemark call, you know, once they resolve that, then all of these movie companies will finish up their projects and they'll be jockeying and competing for dates. But all the dates could change and some could push out to 2025. Like I've been telling you guys for 6 months, this, or however many months. Sometimes I exaggerate. However many months, I've been telling you, don't ignore the impact of these strikes on what could happen to the stocks. This is not something to minimize. Because if projects get pushed out, that makes the quarters before weaker. Losing Dune, for example, is it's a big hurt on Q4. So we really need to see that fixed. What else? Anyways, go watch the Cinemark video and get some insight into, you know, what other companies are doing and what analysts are asking. Cinemark also. It is very striking to me, the difference in questions of analysts that cover Cinemark versus AMC. What else do we got to worry about? So the main thing that I'm worried about right now for AMC is just Q4. I'm focusing only on box office for Q4. It's underperforming right now, but as we were talking about earlier, and as you guys said in the comments, the bulk of the good movies are just now starting to hit, but we're already 5-6 weeks into it, into a 3-month order. And I don't know that we'll be able to recoup and save Q4. I'll always hope that we will, and I'm going to do my part. And I encourage you to do your part. Go see a movie, spend an obscene amount of money. When I go to an AMC movie, I don't eat before I go to the movie. So I'll get my lunch or dinner or whatever there. And that's my food budget for the day. And thankfully here, you know, we have some dine-in theaters where I can get a real meal. And I'm sorry if you don't have that. If it's just popcorn and hot dogs, I feel you. But the hot dogs aren't bad. I'm going to keep on saying this. Right now, more important than you buying the stock, because you probably already have enough, is going to watch the damn movie, support the company, contribute to the income statement. Because the stock price and Wall Street's outlook on this company is going to hit or miss based on the financial statements right now, the earnings. And thank God Q3 was good, but good Lord, like, why are we at 9:45? I don't even understand it. Cuestiones, preguntas. I have not seen Taylor Swift. I see someone saying Beyonce should help. I will definitely go see me some Beyonce. Now, when I went to go see Five Nights at Freddy's, it was a midday showing. I forget what day of the week it was. You have to go back and look at my Twitter or community tab on YouTube. It was early midday, so I didn't expect it to be full. I was the only patron in the theater for 5 nights at Freddy's. But as I was leaving, I could hear Taylor Swift playing in Auditorium 3. I think I was in Auditorium 8, whatever, at the far end of the hall. I had to walk past them all. And it was in the biggest auditorium that theater had. And I walked in just to watch it for a minute and see how many people were watching. There were like 2 people watching on a Tuesday or whatever day it was at midday. 2 people in a 200 seat theater. I don't expect, I've been watching the Taylor Swift seating, like they love to go on the weekends around 7 to 8 p.m. I don't know why AMC is showing Taylor Swift at 10:30 p.m. Nobody's going to that shit. But hey, what do I know? I'm not in charge of logistics. Maybe we'll go see Taylor Swift, but that Leonardo DiCaprio movie is next on my list, really. I see your comment there, AT, that Adam Aaron is saying that there's collateral damage from Hollywood strikes. Guys, I beg you to quit thinking of management's comments as trying to drive the stock price down. They are being honest with you, and I know it's not what you want to hear. But him saying that on a call is not going to drive the stock price down. The fact that there's a actor's strike and it's not resolved, and both sides have said that if they don't resolve it like this week, it's not going to be touched again till January. That is a fact. And management is trying to convey facts to you listening in on the call as investors, and you should listen to that and not just cast it aside as he's trying to be negative. He's trying to be honest. I get so mad at these people like, oh, Adam Aaron just posted something negative to hurt the stock price. He's trying to be honest. And if you've heard me say this many, many times, but just to be perfectly blunt, sometimes he's too bullish in his comments. He's trying to wrap his arms around us and give us a big retail hug. I wish he wouldn't do that. I wish he'd do more honesty so that people could have expectations set in reality instead of head up in the clouds, la, 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 just totally disconnected from reality of what's going on in the economy and this industry. You need to accept reality. Like, we can be bullish, we can love the company, but the reality is still the reality. The actor's strike is going to have negative impacts. And that's just not Adam Aaron saying that. The Cinemark CEO is saying the same thing. Multiple analysts on the Cinemark call asking him the same thing. Like, let's live in reality. It's a big deal. We've been saying this here for months. All I know is if the price keeps dropping, I'm gonna be forced to buy more. I hope it goes to $8. Let's see, who said that? Killers of the Flower Moon. Pam, what is up, Pamela? Pam says, Killers of the Flower Moon was good, but planned to sit 3.5 hours long. We had planned to see it this previous weekend, Pam, but I couldn't get Scarlett to go. She was tired. She took advantage of her weekend to catch up on sleep. So I'm going to have to call an audible and either go by myself, which I know she's going to be mad, or tell her we're going this weekend no matter what. Like, deal with it. So I did go see 5 Nights at Freddy's by myself. There's a couple other movies that are on our list. and it's about to get hot, right? And it's about to get to that point where there's a bunch of good movies that we want to go see. So I need to get Killers of the Flower Moon out of the way. Matt says I got 18K ready if we drop to $8. I'm my account right now, my biggest trading account, Matt, is, I looked this morning, I think I'm about 47% in cash, waiting for either, AMC to drop to a good buy zone or just for the market itself to completely crash. And then I got a list of blue chip stocks that I'm going to buy. But yeah, if it drops back down, I'll snag me some more. You guys know I already switched out of the whole ape way of looking at this play before the reverse split. We don't need to rehash that. So I did not expect, you already know what my call is on what I expected from this quarter. I was fairly bearish on it, negative 17 cents. It beat what I expected, and based on those numbers, I would have expected it to go up to $12, $13. I have no explanation for this. This is ridiculous, $9.55. But if it goes down, that'd be good for me. I'll snag some more. I want to encourage you guys that are down in the play still to have some conversation with me or people that you trust, or just go Google it, YouTube it. If you're sitting on a bunch of shares, there are ways you can make money, like selling covered calls. If you have 500 shares, let's just say, you could sell 5 covered calls a week or a month. It gets into some tricky territory because ideally you don't want to sell a covered call under your cost basis, and I don't want to financially advise you on exactly how to do it, but I can explain to you what they are, and then you can make up your own mind. But there are ways you can generate money off of your position, not just sit there and be a victim. The other thing that you can do, like for myself right now, if I'm willing to buy it at $8, I could sell cash secured puts, which is immediate cash in my account when I sell that. And if it drops to $8, I will let it exercise and I will buy the shares at $8. So if I sold them, let's say for 50 cents, that's $50 per contract in my pocket. If I did that 10 times in a week, that's $500. If it dropped to $8, I'd be on the hook for $8 times 500 shares. So you don't do that unless you have cash sitting in your account, selling cash secured puts. That's not a play for everybody, but I'm just saying to you guys, there are ways other than just sitting still that, and if you don't want to trade the stock, you're an expert in this damn stock right now. You know the chart, you know what happens. There are ways, I've talked to many people in my Discord, like, Tony, I've got my core position, but I'm going to take X number of shares and I'm going to volatility trade that. And they're volatility trading, making money every damn day. Don't feel trapped by listening to the wrong people that you can't do anything except buy, hold, and lose, is, I guess, my point. You don't need to be a victim. Michael Anthony, he's asking, didn't AMC make a profit and didn't AMC have higher revenues? Yeah, they blew it out of the water for Q3. Blew it out of the water. Which, frankly, is surprising to me that based on that news, we would be trading down. There's nothing in the news today that would make this stock go down. Especially, I mean, okay, I can get the bounce down from $11. I can understand that, right? We keep on bang, bang, bang. We hit 11 and it gets knocked back. But come on. Crushed all the way back down to 960 now, and it doesn't make sense to me. Even the only thing I'm going to say, like I just said 10 minutes ago, I'm worried about Q4. Maybe other people are bearish on Q4. Maybe they're shorting it. I don't know that makes sense. Shorting this stock at this price. Unless they just think Q4 is going to be a flop, but I don't know. I mean, it's so damn cheap. I was looking at market cap early 2021. We were around 460, just under 500 million market cap prior to all the retail traders getting involved. And the market cap right now is $2 billion at market close. So some people, the big institutions, might be looking at it and saying that the market cap is overvalued, but the company is hitting on so many more cylinders now than early 2021. That just doesn't make sense to me. I get it. I was talking to you guys earlier about, like, if you do real hardcore legit financial analysis on it and the balance sheet is ducked over, the balance sheet is screwed up on AMC. I get the bear case, but I don't understand how they can just punish it like this. All right, fine. Let it drop. People are going to buy it. And if you're already sitting on a bunch of shares and you go in and buy more at 9 or 8 or 7 and it runs up to 11, take the fucking profits on that little bit that you added. Get you some money back is my thought. You want to hold your core position, that's your choice. But when you see the chart and you know how it trades, play the fucking chart like any stock, like you would any stock. I don't know, Paul Washoe, why is it dropping? It makes no sense to me. There was zero bad news on this call other than we have an actor strike. Did I miss? All right, the most bearish person in this chat right now, did I miss anything in this call other than the fact that there's an actor strike and Q4 is not going so great right now? I know. Those are two legit things. Was there anything else bearish? Norman says, what can I expect if I bought at 10.12? Do I sell tomorrow? I can't give you any trading advice, Norman. All I can ever do is tell you what I am doing. Sparky says they hit the high end of revenue and still did not make money. Where was the 50 million profit? Let's take a look at it again. Are you talking about the adjusted EPS or the GAAP EPS, Sparky? Because on GAAP they made money, and on cash they added cash. Well, I use that term made money loosely, right? On GAAP results, they showed a positive earnings. Let me make sure I'm using the proper phraseology. When I have time and when they they did publish. All right, let's look at the This is quarter. How are all these highlights in here? I didn't go through and highlight all this stuff, did I? How are the highlights in here? And this just dropped. Did it remember what I did on the last one? Cash flow from operating activities was 137 loss. So did we lose? Oh, that's the 9 months. I fucking hate when they do this shit. I don't want, it's so confusing when you just show me the last quarter. Now I can't even see what cash, I mean, all we can go by is what they have over here on this. I'll have to break it out or wait till stock analysis updates it. But according to them, they made cash. Sparky says, even at 12 million profit, that's nothing on 1.4 billion. Adding cash was a positive. I think at this point, Sparky, the way that I'm looking at AMC, they need a streak of positive quarters. Just psychologically for investors. Because let's be honest, all right, only the smart folks are in here listening to this stream. You smart folks know that this year, 2023, is going to be a net loss for AMC. Even if we had positive Q2, positive Q3, positive Q4, the net loss with negative $1.70 in Q1, we're going to lose money this year when we look at the annual numbers. If I roll up the income statement to annual, we're going to lose money. But just psychologically, the average retail investor, oh, they're going to think the company's making money. I hear people say this all the time in a lot of stocks. We're making money, not annually or not. But psychologically, that does matter. And psychology plays a big part in this play because most of the investors at this point are retail, and most of the value in the stock price is propped up by retail sentiment, not financial analysis. Can we agree on that? So the company needs to have a string of positive quarters just to prop up and prop up investor sentiment. It's not going to be positive enough to pay off the debt. Not going to be positive. And the more important thing is they're not burning cash, because that's my other biggest fear is a quarter where we have 200 million cash burn. So I'll take Q3 as a win. And again, unless there's a compelling bear argument that I missed. But yeah, I mean, if you step back and look at the big picture, AMC still has a lot of problems, right? We haven't shied away from talking about that. I've been preaching about the damn balance sheet for so long. Just about everybody that's super bullish on AMC has blocked me. Let's look at... It's not me being bearish on AMC. Like, I have this template. It's the same rules for every stock. There is a formula for each one of these boxes that colors it red, green, or yellow, right? I have all these different stocks that I've been sharing with you. Look at AMC. I mean, this is a very risky play if you're holding it as a retail investor. You don't see a lot of green on there. I will update it for Q3. This is Q2 info, or last week's info. Financially, just looking like a Wall Streeter would look at it, that's what they see. I know that's not what you guys see. I'm trying to bridge the gap between what they see, what anybody doing traditional analysis would see, and why they would short it, because of this. It's pretty bad. The financial statements are pretty bad. So the company needs to raise some more cash. They need to fix the balance sheet. Doesn't mean pay off the debt. there is dilution risk, and they need to get to a point where they are generating more positive revenues. In other words, the box office needs to grow into 2024 and hopefully 2025. And that's the end game. And even that, it's not going to grow enough to pay off $4 billion, $5 billion in debt, but it grows enough to kill the shorts thinking they can bankrupt the company, or that the company is going to bankrupt itself. So cash raise was important. If we want to avoid more cash raises, profitable quarters are important. I pray with you every quarter that it's positive like this one was, and we can stave off and delay any additional dilution. This is a good quarter to push it off a little bit. And we'll have to keep a close eye on Q4. Dre says, if retail owns the float, who is selling? That is a great question. One thing that I try and coach you guys on is the way I look at it. We can own the float, but if you're not actively buying, you become an observer. So everybody who bought in 2021 and then just is sitting back because they're not willing to risk any more money, and I don't blame you. If you're doing that, you're an observer to the people who are trading it. So even if 80% of the float was locked up in retail, there's still shares that are trading every day. A percentage of the float is trading or available to be shorted. And you could have those shares flip millions of times a day. And it all depends on who shows up that day and if they're buying or selling. You're just a passenger on the bus, my friends. Michael says AMC raised plenty of cash on the last offering. It was like 350 million or 325, right? They did. I mean, that was a decent amount. That if they have profitable quarters, Michael, that bought them. If they have profitable quarters, that bought them a huge win. If they have a bad Q4 and they lose 200 million in cash, well, most of what they just raised goes bye-bye. That's why I'm going to hyper focus on Q4 box office. And I want you to be watching that really closely too. Around end of November, I'll try and do an update for you on forecast for Q4. That'll be early. And it'll have a high probability of being wrong. And I was wrong for Q3, thank God. But we need to see Q4 around 2.6 billion domestic again, like Q2 and Q3 were. And we're not currently on that track. Blue Sky says, if retail owns the stock, ? Have you still not figured out that everyone is buying and holding? Yeah, they are momentum trading, he says. Yeah, there is people momentum trading, and there are high-speed trading firms trading millions of shares per minute. It doesn't matter that you're holding. If there's something they can trade, if 10% of the float is tradable, they'll trade it 5 times in a day, 10 times in a day. Very easy to do. And it all depends on who shows up with what their intention is that day, to buy and drive the price up or sell and drive the price down. Mr. Peen Galarga, the venerable Mr. Galarga, welcome. He says short interest was 30 or 40% before CRS, 6% now. shorts are counting the money they made. Yeah, I mean, the price went down, right? So probably they made some money. Or the short interest dropped. So yeah, they closed out some shorts and locked in those gains. I think that's a fair statement. But also, I just want to be clear, and I told you guys to expect people to make a comment like Senor Galarga. Ape had almost no short interest, and it had twice the float of AMC. So when they combined, I told you guys that you'd see a massive drop in the short interest. And that was not going to be because shorts closed. That was the math of taking a 2x float with a 1/3 of the short interest, Ape relative to AMC, and combining them. You were going to see a massive drop just from that math. Wouldn't require any shorts to close to drop the short interest percentage. I know that's complicated if you're not a mathematician. But that was one big reason why the short interest dropped. You took this huge float of Ape, pushed it over, created AMC shares with it, and there was almost no shorts on Ape. And then, yes, there were some shorts that were betting on the price to go down with the RS. Absolutely. And now we're sitting at 6-7%. It is what it is. Blazin says there is a fundamental misunderstanding of how price discovery works. I try and preach this, Blazin, but not many people listen. Price can move up and down easily, he says, with only 1% of the float trading. I'm going to add lib to your comment a little bit because I know what you're saying. In fact, he says, to finalize his comment, the more you restrict the float, the more volatile the moves could be. Yep. That's a very sensible comment. And I wish more people would read that and internalize it and understand what he's trying to say. Something we've talked about here for a long time. I just say you're a passenger. You're an observer if you're buying and holding and doing nothing else. That doesn't mean I'm encouraging you to go out and buy it. I just want you to understand your role. Howard Sue, what's up, Howard? He says, I thought a broker confirmed how since the value of Ape was taken from AMC, counts of short interest on AMC transferred during the split. Yeah, I'm just assuming that the short interest on Ape transferred over to AMC, Howard. I'm assuming that nobody closed any short interest on Ape. It just all transferred, but you had a very small short interest on Ape, a very big float. Do the math. This little piece with high short interest, this big piece with low short interest, put them together, the big float with low short interest crushes the other one. It didn't matter that AMC had high short interest once they combined. Blue Sky says Marvels will probably not perform well with a 50% Rotten Tomato rating. Yeah, I'm not holding out any high hopes for that movie. I haven't looked. I looked at the previews for Hunger Games and Wonka. Like, I'm not the ideal target audience for Hunger Games, but I would go see Wonka, and I'll probably go see Hunger Games anyways. But the it's that damn girl. That damn girl is in Hunger Games too, isn't she? It's that same damn girl that's in Sleeping Beauty. Am I wrong? Wonka looks fairly entertaining, but I don't know. That doesn't mean that it's going to be good. The preview looked okay. Ruby Doobie says that if we run, at which point So you theorize that a dilution would be considered by AMC. Go watch my video called CEO Handbook, Ruby Doobie. Now, I made that video in a slightly humorous fashion because it's a difficult topic for people to hear. But when stock prices run up, CEOs will want to dilute. CEO Handbook is the name of the video. So yeah, I expect at some point there will be a price run up, and I expect at some point, if that happens, AMC will be itching to dilute. That's not them wanting to kill the squeeze. That's a talking point from people who don't understand corporate finance. That is management wanting to capitalize on a irrational move up in the stock, and they will do that. They will do that. If it runs up, you can expect a new prospectus. I can't tell you at what price. And if it doesn't run up and there were a string of bad quarters, well, then they'll be forced to raise cash at a less than optimal price. But they don't want to do that, I don't think. Nobody normal would want to do that. So the ideal situation for them is have the price run up on some good market news, some good company news, some bullish anything, actor strike, and then drop a prospectus and immediately sell those shares to institution. Or to the market, wherever they can sell them. Neil, what's up? He says, yeah, the arbitrage traders were long APE and short AMC. Thank you for mentioning that. They probably did. After the conversion of APE to AMC, they had extra shares that they had bought on the cheap, like many of us did that were buying APE on the cheap. Although I was not short AMC, a lot of people, a lot of these institutions bought very cheap APE. And when it converted over, they had shares to cover their AMC short. It is unfortunate, but that is probably did happen, yes. Ruby Doobie says, thank you, new subscriber, and I really enjoyed your no sugar-coating bullshit-free dialogue. Well, thank you, Ruby Doobie. Hopefully over time, people that actually appreciate facts and real talk over all the nonsense out there will subscribe, find, or resubscribe to the channel. Because I did lose a couple hundred people after the reverse split and conversion that were mad. But I think it was 1 or 2% of my viewers. But life goes on. I'm not here to sell you a fairy tale. I'm here to try and help you not lose money. Blue Sky says, after the RS, AMC was in the 11 to 14 range. Dilution dropped it, and not the range is 8 to 11. Yeah, if there is more dilution, if we're stuck, Blue Sky, if we're stuck at this range and he were to announce more dilution this week, absolutely, the price would drop. That's what I was alluding to. Like, I would hope that there's something planned or something lucky happens where there is a run-up that the company can capitalize on, because I don't want to see shareholders diluted more at this price. But as I said, and I'm going to say this one more time for those that just joined in, the key things I'm focused on right now, if I was holding or looking at buying AMC, I am concerned. I'm ecstatic about Q3, right? There's no sugarcoating that for me. It blew away what I expected. But being semi-level headed and always looking at both sides of the coin, what I'm concerned about for Q4, I'm going to watch the box office numbers. We need to get 2.6 billion or the company's going to lose money in Q4. Box office numbers. Actors strike, because that will affect both Q4 and several quarters into 2024. So box office numbers, actors strike, and risk of dilution. Now, I can't tell you when he's going to dilute again, but it is on any reasonable person's mind as a risk. Doesn't mean it's going to happen next week. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it is something that I worry about. So I just pray for all of us that they have a good run up before they have to ever consider doing that. I don't know. Again, going through absolute worst case scenario, not to be bearish or scare you out of the play, but just like how I look at it. If the company lost $200 million cash in Q4 by having a bad quarter, let's say 1.8 billion domestic box office, then I think they're going to think more seriously about a sooner rather than later additional cash raise, depending on what's going on with the actors strike. There's so many different damn pieces to the puzzle. I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen. I can just tell you there's a lot of moving pieces, and you need to keep your feet on the ground and think logically and not just be la la la. Everything's going to be great. It's really, really good. Q3 was really, really good. But as an investor, whether you're buying a car, a piece of real estate, or a stock, you owe it to yourself to be real on what's the upside, what's the downside, what's the risk. Sorry, I was thinking of a old corporate, the SWOT analysis: strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. That's how you correctly and fairly analyze things. Strength, weakness, opportunity, threat, SWOT analysis. Just be honest with yourself. That will make you a better investor. You don't have to, doesn't mean you're bearish or bullish, but you need to be honest and consider everything. That will help drive better decisions for all of your trades. Yeah, SWOT analysis being SWOT. Some of y'all might know that from corporate life, from military training, from Six Sigma training. Gosh, I've been through so many different trainings, I forget where I first learned it. But if you've ever been in those environments, or been in the engineering world, or been in project planning, product planning, any of that, what other, where have you guys come across that? I have a really bad problem about being overly analytical about all decisions. Some people find that really annoying, and some people find it really helpful. Don't ever take me being analytical as being bearish or bullish. It's just how I think through everything in life. Ask my wife. I drive her crazy. Michael says, what other companies report good earnings this week? Let me pull up the earnings for major companies this week. Hang on one second. So I owe you guys a video for a AMC recap. I owe you a video for Lucid recap, Disney recap. Oh my gosh, I'm not going to fucking sleep. I was up at like 4:30 this morning, and I didn't go to sleep till 12:30. I'm going to try and get a reasonable amount of sleep tomorrow, and then try and tackle these other videos. Disney, I got the Rivian video out today. We had today burned, the rest of the day burned on AMC calls. We got Lucid, AMC, and Disney that I got to go through. And rest of this week, what do we have big? We got Fiverr. I don't know that one's big. We got Yeti. I love Yeti products. Wynn Casino and Resorts is after hours on Thursday. I don't have any Vegas plays in my portfolio right now. I often do. I don't at the moment. And that's about it. Hudson, is that Hudson Capital? HSON. Hudson Global. That one's on Friday before market open. So yeah, there's not a bunch. We had a lot of big ones early in the week. Berkshire Hathaway, Dish, Uber, Celsius, DR Horton, Rivian, Lucid, Gilead, Dutch Bros, Toast, Mosaic, Clover. Anybody still in Clove? The Lou play of the century. Roblox, I see was this morning. I haven't had a chance to look at many of these. And Fisker was supposed to be this morning, and it got pushed to next week. Very, very strange. Let me see who's texting me, if it's the wifey. Sorry, I have not given you an update about where I am at. Stop by the grocery store. Get home, lady. Make me a sandwich. I'm just kidding. Hopefully she's not watching. Jeremy says he's 3 years in this play, mentally exhausted. I can feel you. Jeremy, as I watch, you guys know AMC is, especially those of you that are in my Discord or that talk to me on a regular basis or that have paid any attention to this channel for the last couple of years, AMC is by far the only stock that I follow. Far from it. Even though it's been a great majority of the content that I've covered on YouTube, it's not the only stock I own. It's not the only stock I follow. I'm just fascinated by this phenomenon of 2021 till now of all of these retail plays. And there are a lot of people in your boat, my friend, that are mentally exhausted. What I don't want to see you guys do is become financially exhausted. And I've watched community after community of tickers ride everything to zero based on some hype on Reddit and Twitter. And, we switched the narrative on this channel a long time ago to talking about the financial statements and why those matter. And oh boy, man, the hate and the threats that I got for daring to talk about the financial statements instead of billions of shares that I can't prove to you. I mean, it's been crushing trying to explain to people why financials matter and why maybe you should #evolve your thinking. But I'm mentally crushed by watching so many thousands of people and so many different tickers lose everything. We all had the same plan. We all had the same idea in 2021. And then things changed sometime around Thanksgiving 2021. And some people adapted, some people stuck to their mission. I'm adaptable. I'm a trader. I made a lot of money in June 2021 because I was lucky that I bought a bunch of call options long before I turned on YouTube. I had bought call options before AMC ran, and I sold them into the run-up. And you guys know I bought shares after that. I had some shares before that. too, but the call options is what made me my money. Therefore, I was never going to lose money in this play. I created my YouTube channel because I was so pissed at Trey and Matt for telling people it was going to run to hundreds of dollars. As I was selling my call options and yelling at the screen at Matt, what the fuck are you doing buying call options when it's $50, bro? But, you know, there was a good chance for a second short squeeze. And so I kept buying shares in 2021. It wasn't going to hurt me at that point. I had already made a bunch of money. Not the million that Trey made, but, you know, a decent amount for the little amount of risk that I had put on a speculative play. And, yeah, and then I held those with you guys into the red all the way until just a few months ago, when it became clear exactly what I told you was going to happen, that the lawsuit would be settled and that the reverse split conversion would go through. I can't give you financial advice. I can't tell you, hey, do this, do that with your shares. I can tell you what I see coming. And if I tell you what I see coming, you can bet that I'm trading on what I see coming. So I was able to make some moves at the last minute to minimize my losses and then recoup some of it on APE, not all of it, and then recoup some of it in the past couple months. That's just like a personal recoupment, right? I was never going to be red in this play because of the call options I had from June 2021 sold into the run-up long before I got on YouTube. But it still irritated me to look at my account every day and see AMC red, AMC red. It's fucking irritating. I get it. I get the emotional exhaustion. I lived it with you. If it was any other play, follow your basic rules. You're down 10%, 12%, fucking sell it. I was like, I'm going to make this my one experiment to participate with people in a movement, and let's just see if we can make something happen. 2 years later, the fundamentals and the financials ground us down to where we're at. So, yeah, it is what it is. If you want to know what I'm doing, hang out here a little more often. Ask questions. I'm not shy to talk about it. Everybody that already was mad that I made certain moves a couple months ago already left. You know, good riddance and good luck. We're doing fine over here. And it's not because Adam Aaron pays me. And it's not because I was telling you guys to buy while I was trading. I fucking lost money on my AMC shares. But I made certain moves in the last couple of months to minimize those losses. We've already gone over that. I don't want to rehash it again. And we're doing just fine now. Chat James says Trey was buying call options by the hundreds. Yeah, I just, you know, I don't have the exuberance of youth to splash that much money down on one speculative play, chat. I put money down a significant amount on call options, and I've never seen my account spin up. The amount of money I was making in that day, I've never seen that. Other than that one day with AMC. Hats off to Trey if he made $1 million on call options, but good Lord. I would never recommend you guys to, and I never have recommended to you. In fact, I try and start every live stream with the same and end it with the same the pre-roll where I urge you, don't put all your money in one speculative play. Speculative. What is speculative? Is the company losing money? It's speculative. That's why you need to read the fundamentals, read the financial statements. If the company is losing money, if the company is highly shorted, it is speculative. I don't want you mortgaging your house, selling your 401k, putting it all in that one stock. That is a ridiculous amount of risk. Now, if you chose to do that, some people make money on those plays, but those are what we call moonshots. Every now and then you get lucky. If I put 2% of my account on one of those and I get a moonshot, I'm happy. Did I wish that I had 100% of my account in it? Yes, but I can't sleep at night risking like that. Why? Well, I'm older than many of you. And I, used to do very, very risky tray style trading. And I can tell you, in my 20s, you can make a lot of money and you can lose a lot of money really quick, especially doing it with options. There's another certain YouTuber. Some of y'all know him. He was big into GME and then big into AMC. Now he's big on Mullen. I watched him in 2021 make $1 million and then immediately lose it. Like within 40 days, lose $1 million because he couldn't get off the addiction of laying it all out there for super speculative payoffs. I bet those videos are still up. I don't want to throw his name out there because I'm not trying to shame him. I'm just saying the evidence is out there that people have bad trading habits. He's definitely entertaining. He's entertaining in an interesting way. Blazin says, I wish I could sell options in after hours. I wish I could sell them too, man. I had some Rivian calls that I bought before market close, right before market close yesterday, Blazin, at the money. Look at what Rivian did in pre-market today. I bought them at the money right here, and it ran up to 1910. And then as soon as the market opened, now I could have sold them in the first 2 minutes of the market open, but like an idiot, and I only had, it's a couple $100. I only had a little bit risked on it. Like I'm not worried about $200. But and I still have time before they expire. But I will likely lose on that play unless it runs up tomorrow. After hours, if I could have traded those options, I would have been sitting pretty on major gains, percentage-wise. Cap T says you're in Mullen as well. Did you see the definitive proxy statement that dropped today, Cap T, with the updated share count? Based on my analysis, I'm not going to make a video on this. I mean, people ask me, why are you even covering Mullen? Well, I talk about Mullen because some of y'all are in it. I'm 95% sure the reverse split, the next one is going to pass. The insiders have about 45% of the vote. They had 53% of the vote. Now they just updated the float. By my calculations, they have about, by 43%, I mean, of the vote necessary to win. They just need a majority of the shares that show up. They don't even need a majority of outstanding. If they're the only ones that show up, look what happened with AMC today. Nobody showed up to vote. If that happens with Mullen, that reverse split is going to pass. Horrible, horrible. Cap T says dilution is almost done. Yeah, I think the full dilution on Mullen will be somewhere around 500 million when it's done with the warrants. I think right now we're around just over 400 million with today's update. In 5 days, guys, they added 100 million shares. Ouch. Not from like the company selling shares, but from warrant conversion. That guy, that poor, I don't know if David Misery is poor David Misery or evil David Misery. But he's stuck in a bad situation with some really raunchy lenders. And he's over a barrel because he's got to do the reverse split. And he also needs to raise money to keep his company afloat. And I think maybe he's trying to really get into production, but it is just slaughtering retail investors. And the funniest thing about Mullen for me is seeing certain influencers on Twitter and YouTube that, you know, want Adam Aaron in jail, but they're still steady this week telling you to buy Mullen, or last week or 2 weeks ago. Like, how can you say Adam Aaron needs to be in jail, but Mullen you think is a buy? If anybody is doing something criminal, it is David Misery. Now, I'm not going to call him a criminal. I don't do that. Maybe he's just stuck in a bad place with his lenders, but good Lord, he is. If Adam Aaron's got a pistol, David Misery's got a Gatling gun. This is the risk, though. Like, don't blame the CEOs. We, you and me, because I do it too on certain plays. We are buying, we're speculating, right? We're not investing. If you're buying a company that's losing money, you are not investing. Can we agree on that? You're speculating that something is going to change. Speculating means that it is very high risk and you're probably not going to win. If you do win, the payoff will, you know, justify the risk. It's kind of like what I call the, you know, going to the racetrack and betting the dark horse. You know how many times I've gone to the track? Not here, not regularly, but like when I go home to visit my parents, you know, one of our favorite things to do is always to go to the races, make a day of it. And sometimes you just bet on the dark horse. It's like 1 to 100 odds. They never win. But that one time they do, woo! You just got to know 1 to 100 odds means 99% chance you're not going to win. So all I'm saying, if you understand the risk and you willingly take it, God bless. I'm a gambler too. Like, Vegas is one of my favorite cities to go to. But I also know not to load up my entire portfolio on that play, that risky play. Like, I'm not gonna second mortgage my house, fly out to Vegas and put it all on black. So I have no problem with any of y'all gambling or speculating. What hurts my heart to hear is people that put everything in one speculative play, whether it's AMC, GameStop, Mullen, BBIG, Prague, Party City. I mean, the list is endless. MMTLP. Somehow they get convinced that they need to put their entire wealth into one play, none of which of them are making money, and hope for that moonshot. I don't know. It's not something I've ever been an advocate of, not something I've ever personally done, not something I will ever do. I'm just, you know, I'm trying to get out there and beat the S&P on an annual basis. That's pretty boring, right? I try and pick undervalued blue chip stocks and hold them long enough, several years to outpace normal market gains. And then I take my little fun money, my small percentage of my account, and trade options and speculative plays. And if I lose that, not a big deal. Cap T says he's max degen. Well, much respect, brother. As long as you know what you're doing and I got no problem with someone like you, unless you come back to me and say, I'm max degen, but if it doesn't go my way, I want the CEO in jail. That's what pisses me off. Like this inability of people to accept their own personal decision and going all in on a max degen play. And we got a lot of that. We got a lot of people not taking personal accountability. They're always looking for someone else to blame. And so I will continue, as boring as it is, as irritating as it is, as many people block me, I will continue to say, read the 10Qs, read the financial statements, understand them. You don't got to be a CPA. Go watch my videos from a year ago, how to read an income statement, a balance sheet, and a cash flow. What did I say in 5 seconds or 30 seconds? You can pick up the needed info without being an expert. And then scale your risk accordingly. And if you choose to ignore scaling your risk, then okay, just say I'm ignoring the rules, but I totally accept if it doesn't go my way that was my choice. Steven says, what is your take on GME? I have a $10 price target on GME. I have been swing trading GME for well over a year. I've communicated that with you guys for a long time. Let's see if I have my trades on this chart still. I've made money on every swing except the last one. I broke even because I didn't have the balls to go in and buy the bottom dip. So I sold my GME position on the pre-split run-up. And then you can see there's various points in here where I bought dips. And where's the sell? I don't see the sell on this one. I bought dips and sold rips, basically. So and I have these yellow, orange, red lines for, this was originally like my buy zone. Like if it's in here, buy it and wait for the next rip. But if it goes below the orange line, be really, really careful. So I am being really, really careful. I had bought some on 8/22, 17.97. I sold that quickly after. It looks like 9.6. These looks like my text boxes are not lined up with where the chart is. 8/22 should be over here. 8/22, 9.6. That's about right. So this was the last one. I had bought at 19 and then I bought more at 17.97 and I got out at 18.50 and it ran up a little higher than 18.50. I could have made money, but I didn't know for sure that it was going to go up that extra couple quarters. And since then, I've been out of GameStop. I'm waiting for the chart to tell me it's safe to buy again, but I'm worried, about Q3 earnings. Q4 is always good for GameStop, but look, man, until I hear a plan from Ryan Cohen, until they get on a call and tell us something instead of no management communication whatsoever, I'm very cautious on this play. Yes, they have a great balance sheet. Yes, they have cash. Yes, they're cutting costs they're crucifying their employees. cutting out layers of management, cutting benefits. Gaming is moving to digital. Game boxes are moving to not even having a drive in them. Like long term, I'm very concerned, but doesn't mean that GameStop is going bankrupt. They have a chance to use that cash and make some meaningful change. And I love Ryan Cohen. I'm just reading the chart, guys. Just reading the chart. That's what's driving all of my trades for the last year and a half on GameStop. I decided at some point around that split when it ran up, like I can't buy and hold every fucking meme stock. GameStop has some very predictable patterns, and it made no sense for me to lose money on two stocks. So I started swing trading GameStop, and I've been making money on it. And I'm out. The account that I trade GameStop in is only for GameStop. That account is 100% in cash, and I'm waiting. I don't need to time the bottom perfectly. I just need to be in before the next run takes off. And when I go watch my last GameStop video, I try not to do a bunch of them because there's just not much to talk about. I said in that video that I had a 12-month price target of $10 for GameStop if they don't announce some meaningful change or some meaningful acquisition using their cash. So I'm not like predicting $10 next week. It will hit $10, but if they don't do something, I see it heading that way. I said that 2 months ago. And since then, you know, while people are pumping it daily, multiple times on videos, it's dropped 50%, 40%. But they'll lie to you and tell you the company's profitable. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not anti-GME. Like I said, you know my position on it. I'm just reading the chart. But Tony, you said you didn't do TA. Everybody does TA. But you got to combine technical analysis with looking at the financial statements and understanding the strategy of the company. It's a multi-pronged approach. Like these guys that just do TA and ignore the financial statements, I think that they are all destined to lose in the long run. You got to combine your silos. You got your TA, you got your financials/fundamentals, and then you got what is the strategic direction of the company? What is management telling you? You got to become a chef. Take all the ingredients and put them together. That's how you win. If you're just looking at charts and holding shit for the long term, you're going to lose. But if it's a swing trade for a day or two or a week, I won't necessarily focus on the financial statements. Then you're okay. You're okay for swing trading, just looking at the chart. That's fine. A lot of people misunderstand me when I say I don't believe in TA. I don't believe in TA if you're going to hold it for 2 years. You better be looking at the financials too. Believe it says, what do you drink? I should drink more water, believe it. But I like a good scotch. I like a good... I haven't been in the cycle lately of doing gin and vodka martinis, but I'm about to cycle back into that. What we've been working on for the past 3 weeks is a bottle of tequila, which my wife says, how can you fucking drink straight tequila on ice? I'm like, I mixed it today with a little margarita mix, but I'll go shopping this weekend. If you got any recommendations on something you want me to try, and some of you guys have set me up with some great recommendations. The Japanese scotch, Anya, that was a great recommendation. The what was that? Peanut butter something. Was it peanut butter scotch? The fuck was that shit? That was actually better than I expected. My wife loved it. But yeah, I'm mostly a scotch guy. Like my go-to daily, well, I don't drink daily, but my go-to drink would be like a Black Label. Middle price, easy daily drinker if you were a daily drinker. And then if I'm splurging, like something for celebrating, it'll be some fancy single malt scotch, Arbor or something like that. All right. Any other questiones? Preguntas? I forget how to say question in any other word than Spanish. Mezcal. Cap tea. I think maybe in my life I've tried mezcal once or twice, and I'm like, yeah, not really for me. I've been hearing advertisements for what's his name? The Pantalones tequila. Pantalones. My buddy here in Austin, Matthew McConaughey and his wife got this Pantalones tequila. It's probably all marketing, but I might try a bottle of that. I'm not really a big straight tequila drinker at all. But I think Matthew McConaughey's a decent actor, so I might just throw him a bone and buy a bottle. But I'm gonna be stocking up on some good Scottish whiskey. Blazin asking about defense and aerospace companies. Anya really wanted me to look at who was it? Starts with the R. Raytheon. And I haven't had time yet. What's Raytheon's new ticker symbol? Blazin? Or Anya, if you're listening. I thought I saved it. RTX. Thank you. My fear is that I'm too late. But we're not always too late. Yeah, so they've had a good run up since October 6th. $83, but just looking at the chart, recent highs of 106. I'll try and make some time this weekend to look at that. I've got a very full slate for the next 2 days. I have nothing in that sector right now. So yeah, I'm interested at looking at it. God, $44 would have been a steal, but that was 2020. They're always great stocks to buy on the right cycle. Just buy them when they're cheap and wait for the next war. Thank you, Blazin. Yeah, send it over. Are you in my Discord still, Blazin? I don't see I know you had a issue with your credit card number being stolen or something. I don't see a badge next to your name. Will I get back into crypto? Stephen, I look at it almost every day, and it'd be a great topic for my channel. And most of my crypto that I still have is just parked in cold storage. But yeah, I mean, I'm very interested in it. I've just been too busy to spend the time necessary paying attention to it. My ideal goal would be like one day a week. All right, this is my crypto day. We're in November. Maybe I can get there. I mean, the fact that I'm not covering and having to focus on AMC 12 hours a day has freed up a lot of time for me to give you guys content on a lot of other plays. But there's so many on my plate of stuff I want to talk to you about that I'm in or that I'm interested in or that you guys have requested, that I want to get all of those out of the way. And if there is overwhelming demand for me to talk about crypto, then I can move that up in the priority list. I want to make content of stuff that you are interested in. And, I definitely enjoy trading crypto, but I'm not actively trading it right now. I just have it parked. I still am a big believer in crypto, for long-term buy and hold. Yeah, it's risky. I get it. But I think the world is headed that way. All right, let's try and close this out at 6:30 my time. So we got 8 more minutes of questions. Let's see what AMC's doing. Do we dare? $9.90. What do you guys think it is going to do tomorrow and Thursday? Tomorrow and Friday. I know it feels tempting to jump in at 992. I know I've listened to and heard of many people that think it's going to 15, 20, 25. I just don't know what's driving it there. Like I need to see some news that can overcome my concerns about the actors' strike, Q4 box office, and potential dilution risk. And the one that is most likely to hit first on that news that I need to see is resolution of the actors' strike. So that could be bullish, but I don't know when that's going to happen. So I feel like this is just feeling like a pullback back to $9 is not out of the question. But goddamn, that would be so irritating on a great quarter like they just announced if that happens. Will it drop to 7 or 8? I don't know. Not in the short term. I can't see that happening. But if Q4 grinds down into being really, really bad, you could see this trade back down by the end of the year into that range. Aiden Game says it's AMC, so there's no way to know. You guys know if you've been in my Discord or you've been talking to me offline in Discord voice chats, or you've been on any of the live streams, you know that I was buying at $7 to $8. Where are we on the chart here? So I got out to minimize any potential losses that week when the judge announced her decision, and that was just a precautionary, because as many people told you, it could go down in a reverse split. And if you thought that and you didn't act on it, well, I mean, that you only have yourself to blame for those that are complaining, trying to blame others, not trying to shame anybody who held, just saying if you were complaining 100 times a day that it was going to go down after the reverse split, and now you're complaining that it's down, you knew it was likely to go down and you did nothing, you only have yourself to blame. That's some harsh talk, but that's real talk. I also knew that it could go down after a reverse split, so I opted to step aside for a couple weeks just as a precautionary measure. Takes me 5 minutes, takes me 5 seconds to buy back in if I was wrong. But so I avoided all this rundown and I bought back in $7 to $8 in here. And then I sold covered calls on my new position, made extra money on that. As it started running up, I sold cash secured puts with a lower strike price. So that was more cash that I made, profit. And if it dropped to my strike price, I would have been happy to buy more shares, but it never did. It just kept going up. So I just got to keep that money. And as we started peaking here, I started unloading my position because I told you what I thought was going to happen in Q3, that it was going to be negative. So I got out of my new batch of AMC. I got out of it at 11:20 on this day on Monday. So currently, all of my cash is available, ready to buy back in, and I made a decent profit. You buy $7 or $8 and sell between 10:40 and 11:20. That's a pretty decent gain for a couple weeks. So now I will be supporting the company and buying back in, just waiting to watch the chart and see where it goes. And now I can buy more, so lucky me. What if I had been wrong today? What if I had been wrong? What if the earnings was a massive beat and it started running up? Guys, it literally takes 5 seconds. You don't think I had my account open there ready to hit the buy button? Don't ever be scared on any play to sell when you have a healthy profit because you're worried that you might miss the next run up. You can literally fucking buy back in a couple seconds. There's tickers sometimes that I trade in and out of 3 or 4 times in a day. So I don't want to hear that talk. Oh, you sold and took profits. What if it would have run up? Well, if it would have run up and I saw a massive run happening, guess what? Like any day trade, I'd buy back in. A lot of us do that on day trades every week. We're looking for the runners in pre-market. If they're moving, we hop in and we ride them. We set trailing stop loss, or we set mental stop loss, or we read the chart and try and call the top. It felt toppy to me around 11:43. I held through that 11:43, and when it started coming back down, I had my my sell order ready and I punched out. And I'm not going to feel bad about that because I could easily, if I was wrong, I'd just buy back in. It's not a big deal. That's happened to me on day trades before, where I bought in, it ran up, I jumped out, made some profit because it started dipping. And then you know what happens? They run up and then they do that little dip and then they go on the next big run on huge momentum, right? And AMC doesn't have that right now, but that happens and I'm okay with buying back in, even if it's higher than what I just sold at. Ride the chart. What is the ticker for Align Technologies, Mr. Steve? I got it. Ouch. What the heck happened to them? A gap down from 255 to 193 on earnings. It's not a company I follow. I mean, I couldn't, if you give me a few seconds, I can look at the headlines and the financials, but obviously something bad happened. For me to give you any sort of intelligent response, I'd need to spend more time, but you probably already know. They announced a stock buyback 2 days ago. When did this drop happen? October 26th. See a downgrade from Stifle. A downgrade from 390 to 250. Holy fuck. Oh, is this that Invisible Braces company? I see revenue dropped. Net income. Net income went up. It was positive. I don't know. I would need to spend more than a couple seconds looking at it. I don't have any thoughts. Something happened. I would need to go dissect that. Yeah, it was as high as 735. The PE ratio on that company is 23. Forward PE ratio is 41, which is a little high. Yeah, I feel like we talked about this stock at one point in 2021 when it was running up. But I don't know much about it. Maybe if I have time, I'll look into it this weekend. I do like sick drops. You know, if there was something that I could justify to myself that this was overdone, I'll let you know. All right, ladies and gents, we're going to call it an evening. I'll be working on an AMC recap video for you. I'll be working on getting that Lucid recap video. Please go watch the Rivian video. Any support you can give to the channel, watching the videos I have on here, is much appreciated. If you are a subscriber to the channel, you're like the front line to getting the message of real talk out to people. If you watch the videos as a subscriber, YouTube will push it out to other people. If you guys don't watch it, they don't recommend it. So that's all I ask for you. If I put out a video, watch the video. Maybe you'll learn something. Maybe you don't care. I should have said that the other way around. Maybe you don't care, but maybe you will learn something. I try and keep them relatively short to respect your time. And drop a comment, drop a like. Thank you guys. Love you. And eventually, let's all make some money on Mullen. Just kidding. Always wanted to say that. Have a good night, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
So you wanna go to war with me? You're talking like you think you're royalty. You think that I'm afraid, but I don't break. I heard you question my stability.